The following is a spoiler cast on Sonic Forces, in which all aspects of the game will be covered. If you wish to keep your experience pure, please give it a listen after you fully complete the game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to True Route Radio, the podcast that lets get down to business. We're going to talk about Sonic Forces. Here's my original character, Warship the Pussy. And joining me today are three other Sonic OCs, including Suck the Cock.
Yeah.
Blow the Tits.
I guess.
And Brett Farve.
God, my name rules.
Wait, is it not spelt wrong?
No, it's intentional. No. That's how it's spelled for my character. It's no relation to the football
Why does
player.
the dude spell it wrong?
Well, it's another story for another day, I feel.
That's too deep a question to ask tonight. I don't know.
I will never reveal the Brett Farve secret.
As promised, after our Sonic Mania podcast, we decided to talk about Forces, and we all made a blood pact to play the game and spend money on it. So let's get this out of the gate. What did you guys think of it? On a 1 to 5 scale, I gave it a 2 out of 5.
I think I'm kind of right there with you. I'm at like the 2.5 kind of zone.
Out of 5.
Yeah, and you know, it's a shame because I like a lot. It's just the weak bits are so scathing to me. But I think the strong bits are really strong, and that's what I'm at odds with. So
a 4. I'm settling at 4.
You're settling at 4.
I don't quite
Okay.
think it's 5, but like I like it enough that it's a 4.
Yeah, if we're saying no decimals, I'm also at a 4. That's about where I have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that matches the internet's opinion because it seems to be very divided. Well, you either like it or you don't like it a lot. So
Well, I've seen a lot of people that are like indifferent towards it. Actually, I don't know. It's kind of a weird game. It usually like when Sonic Lost World came out, it seemed like everyone hated it. But this, I don't think it's very easy to pin down an opinion for this one.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone wants you to believe the prevailing opinion is hate, but I don't think that's actually what it is. I think it's like a way more nuanced than that. And it's a shame because I would love to say it's unambiguously great, but even I don't believe that. So
yeah, I think it's time for my conspiracy theory too, because I think you would like this game a lot more if you played other Sonic games. Because if you say you didn't like Sonic at all and you get into play this as, oh, what, this is bullshit, I hate this, whatever. But if you played other Sonic games for the number of decades we have, you start realizing, oh, hey, No Lives is actually really fucking good. These short levels are really good. Respawning really quickly is really nice. And just like the normal mode makes all the bullshit of dying instantly, besides, falling off the pit, pretty nice too.
yeah, I mean,
But you don't really experience that if you never played a Sonic game.
I think Sonic Forces is best for big fans of colors and generations. I really do. I think if you like the older games, there's no particular reason you'll love this one. And if you're not a fan of Sonic, there's no particular reason you'll love this one. I think you really got to be a fan of the newer stuff to get the most enjoyment out of this.
I think it's just you need the mindset going in. I've always had this mindset because I grew up with SA2 and I've played every single game in the series. I've always had the mindset that I never trust my first impression of a Sonic game. You have to play it way more than once to even pin down what exactly, at least how I feel about it. And that's been the Sega philosophy for ages, is that they make kind of short-ish games that are infinitely replayable, and that's where you kind of you get the depth from it. You learn it more, and then I think that's probably what they tried to do here, is streamline that into a easy to digest format, maybe, as opposed to the other Boost games.
The other thing I'd say too, as far as the 3D momentum platformers go, just in general, is the more you've already played.
Can you specify what those are for anyone who's unfamiliar?
Yeah. So the 3D era of Sonic began with Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Adventure 1, then Sonic Adventure 2. And then after that, it went downhill for quite a while, and then generations and colors. The other ones, we don't need to discuss at length. That would be like a 9.5-hour podcast, mostly of me screaming and banging on my desk. But No, it's like the ones where they focused a lot on 3D while still trying to do the platforming stuff. And Generations and Colors in particular have a very specific type of play style that they actually changed a lot from Generations as far as like the 2D Sonic stuff. But yeah, if you have more experience with those, I feel like the faster you turn the corner on the game of like switching into, okay, I like it now. I feel like it's one of those things where the more you've played, the more you just immediately pick it up and feel out like the rhythm and the pace of the game. Because on a casual playthrough, this game would be rough. Absolutely. Like if you're not really into Sonic, there's a lot of parts I could see giving people a lot of trouble or being a little unintuitive.
Yeah. Even more than that, I feel like your first playthrough for 90% of people is just not going to be a great time. Like, even if you're really into it, like, my first playthrough was not a great time the whole way through. 5 to 10% of the levels just suck, I find. They're just garbage trash with, like, either an auto-scrolling section or slides that don't fucking work. Or
the slides are really bad.
You know, I will.
Have you tried going after red rings or any collectible on those damn slides? Because it's infuriating.
Yeah, it's not great.
I'm so glad the speedrunning community has already found a way to just skip all the slides. You just fucking rocket over the entire level. It kicks ass.
Yeah, no, and that's tremendous, and I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, I think most people on their first playthrough or any person's just casual run through the game on a first go, you're not going to have an amazing time. You're going to have a mixed as fuck time because there's some sick stuff. Yeah. Yo, the pyramid level, it's exciting every time. But then you get to the other stuff.
And I think, unfortunately, most, like, those 90% of players aren't going to play this more than once. And that's why I think a lot of kids like Sonic more.
That's why I think Sonic and Sega in general has always struggled a little bit with their philosophy to design games. Is that it's such like that's an older mentality that it seems like a lot of people have forgotten about. Like I don't think people are willing to try that out more often than not. Like people are so willing to just play it and then forget about it. And I think that's just how games are nowadays. But like I think Sonic in general kind of struggles in that environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just how people are conditioned to play games nowadays. You know, back then, not to say it was better or worse, but you would game over and you'd have to restart and you'd do it again. And you would not beat the game on your first 10 tries. You would.
A buddy of mine who's a game dev mentioned, like, after he played Nier Automata, he's like, yeah, I'm really glad they put that thing at the end of the credits that told me it wasn't over. I was just going to stop. Like, unironically, was just like, yeah, no, I just assumed that was the end. That's how games are now. They end.
Which is like, damn, you're like not even halfway a third of the way into the game.
Yeah, well, because I mean, that one in particular, that game's first ending doesn't really happen until like 12 hours in, maybe like 13,
something like that. 10, 12, yeah.
It took me 16 on my first try.
So like,
you could beat Sonic Forces like 10 times in that frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think people play games that way anymore. Well, generally speaking, just again, because people are conditioned to not play games like that anymore, you know, so, which, I mean, sucks, but hey.
If I sound more up on Forces than other folks, it's probably because like I am literally every exception to the rule we've listed has been me so far. So yeah, I'm really up on this game.
Yeah, like don't get it twisted. Like I think the flaws outweigh the good in this game, but at the same time, it also has that just backlash of being a Sonic title, and all the clips you ever see online of this game are just people freaking out with the glitches and level, instant deaths and stuff like that. You don't get moments where you're like, there's a killer whale chasing me, or a giant truck, or this cool song playing.
One thing I will say is this game is a lot harder to break than most of the other ones. Like, even the ones I like Colors and Generations, there's a lot of goofy ways you can die that don't make a ton of sense. Mm-hmm. My playthrough with Forces, like my first 2 playthroughs, I didn't really have anything like that happen unless I was trying very hard to force that kind of bug, which was nice. It was cool.
Well, I think it's also that it's so much more linear and driven than you usually expect. So you're going through the same path every time, but it's a little. I say that with Sonic in quotes. It's a little bit more polished.
Yeah.
Yeah. The main goofy deaths I had was there are a few sequences where you go through like these swirling half pipe sections.
Yeah. The first time they shot a drop dash, I died the first time like 2 seconds later.
Yeah, no. So there's these half pipes, and you just shoot off the side of them because, as far as I can see, the like drifting on around.
Oh, that happened to
corners
me
is, like,
once in the
gone.
Metropolis.
And I would boost and rocket off the edge.
I'll
and I
be
was like,
fair.
what the fuck's going on?
It is kind of weird that they don't have the drift, but I've only really died to that kind of thing once, and I'm pretty sure when it happened to me, it was not like it was not because they're supposed to force you through the turns, and for some reason when I did it on stream, of course it was on stream.
Yeah,
I just rocketed off somehow, but usually it's pretty consistent for me.
Yeah, I streamed my first playthrough of the game, and at 2 of the 3 major sections with those like half pipe sort of things, I shot off like probably no less than 3 or 4 times, and the last one went fine, which is like really late in the game. But for some reason on the first 2, like I just kept shooting off the edge, and it was like, what is going on? I don't know if it's a version specific thing. I'm playing on the Switch, but
it just seems really weird that they would still have those kinds of turns without the drift. Like, fair enough if you're going to take out the drift, but like, I don't know. It seems a little weird to still have turns like that, knowing full well that Sonic cannot make those turns at high speed, so you're going to have to like...
Yeah.
It's a little
ease
weird.
Up for a second.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, I think everyone sees that happens at least once, so how did that stay in the game in this state? Like, you know, how did that not get fixed? How did they...
And I mean, like, the alternative is already in the game with the avatar stages. You just use the... You use the drift with the wire, and you can maneuver, and I actually really like that. You can maneuver the avatar to, like, get in the middle and then go on, like, a ramp that takes you to an upper path. I mean, drifting never, like, to me, drifting was never really all that involved, so I kind of like that at least there was something going on there. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you guys think that... I think $40 was an okay price point for this.
Yeah, so they released it at a below $60 price point, which I don't remember if there was a previous Sonic game that had this. Like, I don't think there's any trend here. I think this is...
Was Generations full price? I
want to say it was, but it is what, 5 years ago now? I can't quite remember. 4 years ago. I think the price was about as fair as it could get. It's $55 in Canada for me, so it was all right. It did.
Destructoid said it was $50 at launch.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was then. Okay, sure.
What was that 50?
I mean, I think the
US
price
then,
was as fair
probably?
as it could have gotten.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was probably full price then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At the time, yeah, possibly. That's true. I
thought they were always 60.
I do appreciate that the retail release of Sonic Forces came with a tight controller decal, so you can separate the true fans from the posers. I have that, of course, on my Switch controller.
Nice.
I expect that you guys also all have one.
I didn't buy it for my Switch, so I don't like.
No, I gotta save that for resale value. It's gonna.
I
be
bought
worth
for
a lot of money in
PS4,
years, Liam.
and then I bought it for PC.
Oh,
so
yo, the PS4 one totally has a skin.
Well,
Get
I bought
that
it
shit on
digitally,
there.
so I don't know what
oh
I don't
no!
know.
If you want, Dan, I can send you mine.
No thanks. I mean, I'm good. You know.
It's a pretty goofy skin, but I like Infinite a lot, so I keep it around.
Okay, speaking of Infinite, what are your opinions on Infinite, the Jackal?
The Jackal.
Let you guys.
Have you guys seen the comic?
Yeah.
So basically, for anyone that doesn't know about it, Infinite, inside the comic version, you can see his face, and he has 2 different colored eyes, and he looks like an edgy character,
which is awesome, and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm really disappointed with him, because he starts off cool, and Episode Shadow helps make him cool, and then he gets nothing at the end of the game.
Because
goes
Sonic
back to
really has a
basically.
fetish for jobbing people. Like, they did this in Lost World too. They're like, "Oh, the Deadly Six," but then at the end, Eggman just comes out of nowhere and it's like, "No, I'm the villain."
It happens at the end of this. It happens at the end of this one too to everybody, because you see that whole battled Gondor shit where they're just fighting an army full of chaoses and shadows.
And Infinite summons the sun.
Infinite.
Sorry, just had to make a side note of that time Infinite fucking summoned the sun.
Yeah, and that was fucking sick. And I was so down for Infinite, especially like with his theme being amazing and stuff, and the Avatar boss was good. Like, I really like Infinite, but he just didn't get nearly enough play, and I was so disappointed by that. I think that was one of the things that let me down the most about the game, actually, was like, I love Shadow, and when I saw Infinite, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm so down with this guy. Yeah, no, I'm so down with this. And then he just didn't go anywhere. And like Shadow's been to all the cool places. Infinite got fucking nothing.
I'm surprised they were bold enough to tie Shadow into Infinite's backstory, because I like lately they haven't been bold enough to do anything like that story wise. They just want usually their approach is to just not touch that shit. Like
usually their approach is just to make every character silver and it's just there.
Or their approach is to gut literally everyone except for Sonic and Tails. So, I mean, that's one of the most refreshing aspects of this game, is that at least people play a role, you know? Like, you don't just save them, like in Generations, and then they...
Yeah, they tried to write more than 2 characters into the game,
Yeah.
I was almost hoping SBO would get something. But
okay, speaking of writing and good characters, there's a bit of content, at least on the PC version, that... I don't know if a lot of people know about. You can change the audio language and the voiceover language, it is.
I did that. I changed it to Japanese to see what it was like.
My favorite was Italian, German, and Spanish. We're all wonderful.
Yeah, I tried those. I tried some of those for a few minutes, and it's wild.
Oh my god!
Eggman screaming in German or something.
One of the opening cutscenes is so good because someone just comes in and is like, "Comandante Knuckles." Yes.
Yeah, I know the English and Japanese are pretty good. I haven't heard all the European ones. That's good.
And there's pretty much an all-star cast there. All those voice actors have done tons of things.
Well, what I noticed is, which I don't know how long they've been doing this, but only the English voice acting is lip-synced. So they use the English voice acting as a basis, because if you turn on Japanese, it doesn't fit their lips.
Yeah.
And it's also, they have a bunch of phrases and words that are just not in the text or subtitles.
Yeah, although I'd argue that it doesn't fit the lips on the English when you're looking at the normal text boxes too, sometimes.
Well, the normal text boxes, nothing fits the lips, but in cutscenes, it's all I tested it, it's only the English that fits at all.
So it's definitely not robot then, it was done by hand for those parts.
Yeah.
I really, this is sounding weird, I really appreciate the way Sonic mouths move in 3D, because I don't understand how it fucking works. All the geometry, moving around those faces, making them, their lips on the side of it's so weird.
Yeah,
because I've seen it fail in
Boom,
it fucking sucked, but every other game, it looks really good on.
No, I adore how they just put a little oval on their face and make it move to where it needs to be and open up. It's really good, actually.
Yeah.
It's well animated. No, I like it, for sure.
All right, so let's get to our original characters. What do you guys all pick? I went cat,
the bird,
because I like cats.
Because they offered a double jump, and
that's
I didn't
why I
realize the
picked the
double
bird.
jump wasn't going to be as useful as I thought, but it was still pretty good. I think four. How many were there? 7 total?
8 or 7.
7. Yeah, I think 4 of them. The power up requires you to get hit or take damage. And so I was like, well, fuck those ones. That's a tacit acceptance that I'm going to suck. So I was like, no, I'm going to take the bird. It just seemed like the best choice. And King, you said you did too, right?
Yeah, that's the reason. I was looking, cross-comparing, and I'm like, well, the only one that I like here is double jump. So let's do it. And it worked out, because then my stream was my stream just... Without even suggesting it, they just started referring to him as Suck the Cock, because he was a bird that had he looked like he had the hair that looks like he's a chicken. So they just started calling him Suck the Cock, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I had no decision in this, but all right. And then he was born. I just
those black eye things are really scary too.
Yeah, I love that. I looked at that and I burst. I could not stop laughing at it because it was so dumb. And I knew that I needed those eyes. It was evil. He was an evil character. But every time he was in a cutscene, he was so timid, and the contrast with the cutscenes and what you can make your character look like are probably one of the it's one of the most amusing aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Ty, what did you pick?
I went with a dog, partially for brand and partially because getting to keep some rings after you get killed is pretty nice for preventing just chain deaths and stuff like that, which really sucks when you're streaming. But as far as outfit, oh god, I changed it like every 3 missions.
So did I, because you get so many cool looking things. I got fucking Crocs once, and I was like, Crocs? Why are there Crocs in here?
Yeah, I got like Crocs and a football helmet, and I'm like, fuck, yes, sign me up. And then I get a hat that says gamer on it, and then some fucking like a headset, and I'm like, fuck yeah, sign me up. And then like I get shutter shades, and those actually stay forever. Everything else changes constantly. Shutter shades all the time. Will not take.
You get
them
like
off.
a bodysuit that makes you look like a Sprite can. It's so ridiculous.
Okay, so weapons. What did you guys like the most? I usually went with just the burst fire.
Well, okay. So for consistency, burst was my favorite. For breaking the game in half, drill is pretty. Drill's pretty optimal. But I am not very good at using the drill, and usually it just gets me killed, so I like to just stick with burst. Although, once you beat the game and you get void, I think, that thing can also do some crazy things.
The teleporting one?
Yeah. If you know what you're doing with that, it can also, like, in null space, I've seen some people use that in null space, and it's pretty insane how, like, I didn't even think they would work levels around that, but I guess, because I got it first, and I was like, how does this thing even work? Like, it's like the drill wisp, but you barely even know where you're going to go.
Yeah, drill's really cool. But
gotta be like Shadow the Hedgehog.
You almost, I find with drill, you almost need to, like, know every stage. Else, you'll just shoot yourself right off a ledge instantly.
You'll flip short, you shoot right off the ledge.
It's a really neat tool.
You also need to pay attention to what abilities it has, because during my stream, I got a little angry. Because there's one power up that as soon as you land, you rocket off. And I was under the impression that this was how the game mechanics worked. And I'm like, why did they make the avatar like this? And then my stream was yelling at me to take off the drill thing. And I was like, like, why is that a power up?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I love the one where you stomp and then go, because that you at least have control over that. And it kind of makes the avatar stages flow better. But the one where there's one where if you can just stop immediately. And that one's also a little weird. So
on a dime.
Yeah, that's back from Generations. The Stomp Run one is so good for speedrunning, it's ridiculous. The landing and going one is not, because it's just fucking uncontrollable. I would say for first playthrough, my favorite weapon was definitely lightning, as soon as I got it, just because, light speed dashing through levels is so good. And then you end levels with like
I love that.
1,100 rings or some shit. It's completely bonkers.
Yeah, I used lightning the most too, definitely. Although I gotta say, there were some stages that I felt like almost overdid it on the light speed dashes, where I was like, well, that was the whole stage. There was like all I did was light speed dash, and that was the end of the stage.
Yeah, like the second half of Arsenal Pyramid. If you have the lightning wisp, you just hold down triangle. And
Arsenal Pyramid is like a 3-second run, and then the coolest part in the game, and then you take rings for like 4 seconds, and then you fall, and then you're at the end of the level.
And then you get rings again, then you homing attack, and you get rings again. Yeah.
Like it's my favorite.
I think that kind of stage.
It's my favorite level, but
better.
It's so trivialized by lightning. Like
I think that kind of stage was done better in null space, because there's more going on there. Null space might actually be one of my favorite levels in the game, because there's so there's so many paths that you can take, and it's probably the most open. So
definitely.
I like that one. Plus, it has a sick rendition of fist bump.
Yeah,
where you come out of the thing.
Favorite weapon now, though, for sure, very definitely, is drill, because drill breaks the game entirely once you know how to use it. Like the Avatar versus Infinite stage, I could easily teach you how to beat it in 14 seconds.
I've seen videos of that.
Yeah,
that's fucking insanity.
You just like do a double jump while charging the drill, let go of it at the very top, and then do it back and forth like 3 or 4 times, and the fight just ends. Like he'll do a cutscene and be getting hit while the cutscene's going off, and he's just like, "Come on, stop!" It's really good. And then Metal Sonic, you get so many iframes, you can just repeatedly fire the drill, and he'll put his lightning walls up, and you'll just pass right through him. It just doesn't even matter. It trivializes everything.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I liked some of the good weapons like lightning burst, void, drill, right? But some of them were just fucking shitty. Like cube, like oh my god, the hammer's really cool. I really like the idea, but it's so tedious to actually use.
Because you have to slam it down once to stun enemies, you have to slam it again.
Plus, the wisp form of that is almost useless. Like,
I feel like
compared
there's
to
a real
any other
disparity.
weapon that you could use, Cube does not offer anything else.
Yeah.
that the other ones don't do already.
No, like
Yeah.
Cube sucks. It almost makes me wonder why they didn't make the whip do the cube effect and the cube do the lightning effect. You know,
The thing is, we can have 7 weapons because we have 7 avatar choices.
yeah, and you just ended up with some shitty ones. and
Hover.
it's like,
Hover's real bad.
damn.
Tell me about Hover,
Yeah.
because I didn't even try that one out.
That's
Hover
fine.
is like, it's like Burst, but without any effort. It's really strange.
Oh, okay.
Like, you just hold down the button and then you fly, and then so it's like Burst, but not, you don't have to time anything. And also the main attack is, it's like everything about Hover is a worse version of Burst.
Yeah.
Because you just send out a burst of air, and then you kind of have to wait a little bit to get another burst of air, so you can't just hold the button down. Hover and Cube especially have almost no place, and Asteroid a little bit, but at least Asteroid has invincibility, and you can float.
Asteroid has some
But
fucking weird niche use cases. Like, there are some really bizarre reasons to use Asteroid. I'd say Hover is just garbage entirely.
Yeah.
I agree with the notion that some of them feel obsolete, and I feel like I wish they would have pushed a smaller selection of weapons further, rather than have so many weapons that have so few shallow applications. You know, there's so few levels in the game in the first place, and most levels have kind of the one where you pick this one and it's like the best one to use. And there's some that you just never ever want to use, like Cube. So I wish they would have just doubled down on a smaller set, and also, just thematically, I don't know why they keep using the wisps. I don't know why.
People like colors.
But like, I don't get it. I mean, I guess I don't know if we have a section to talk about this later. But like, I find this game thematically is a mess because they're just bringing back all the shit from the previous games for no fucking reason. And like the wisps, I felt like they have no place in the game at all. Why couldn't they just be these cool new weapons? You know,
It was
why they
weird
gotta be
that
wisps?
they brought them back. I mean, I'm glad the yells are back for turning them on, but like that's about it.
If
Yeah,
you do a
but-
burst
well-
chain, you keep getting bursts, and he will not shut up that you get bursts. He'll just keep saying burst
Yeah,
every time you
just
get a
all the-
capsule.
Yeah, but he doesn't fucking yell laser, so who gives a
Yeah, God,
That's my favorite
Laser
one.
was so good.
I'm
Laser!
surprised
I
they
love
didn't
it.
try to make laser into some kind of weapon.
I know, right? Anyhow, like, yeah, I don't know why they had to be wisps, and that, like, thematically, that just felt cheap and callous, and I feel like poorly thought out, because I don't...
Well, let's talk about Classic Sonic then, because I feel the same way about him.
I also feel the same way about Classic Sonic. Not to say I didn't enjoy some of his
He's
levels, but
just
he's
there.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to bring back like
may
Boom
be the
Sonic or some
reason
other Sonic.
that I look a little bit down on this one. And to be fair, I kind of do it to Generations too. Like, it's one thing to put him in there. It's another thing to completely fuck up his physics. Like, oh man. Especially in Forces. I don't know what they did to him, but I just cannot reconcile how he controls, especially his mid-air movement. It's so weird. And I've played him so many times, and I'm still not used to how he works. I don't even get it. Sometimes
I don't think the level design like works for him.
yeah,
It's still,
like
it's
you know
still
when you
all
start
based around this
Chemical
linear-
Plant, and then there's like this big, like when you at the start of it, there's a big ramp, and you go off
Big
of it.
down ramp, yeah.
No matter what, I cannot get Sonic. He gets high enough, but he will not go too far enough right to get up there. No matter, like, if I start gaining speed later, or if I gain speed earlier, he will always get as high as he needs to, but since you can't control him when he's in the air, he'll just fall down. And I don't understand what you're supposed to do to
you
get up
can
there.
get a little bit higher, and then there's like a springboard you hit that hits you down at an angle.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta go faster.
Plus the game detects how much you like Classic Sonic, so if you like him a lot,
Yeah,
you go higher.
exactly. Well, that's weird. I go really high, and I hate that.
All right. Last note on the Avatar thing is I think the system is really cool, but there's only so many stages that you can use your Avatar on.
Yeah.
And also, I can't mix the sailor skirt out like the top with the bottom. I just want to be cute, and I can't be cute in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Pissing
limiting
me off.
factor, isn't it?
I will
Yeah.
say,
Yeah,
they went
I-
fucking bananas making assets and making like pieces of clothing and shit. Like I have been playing that game way too much, like an irresponsible amount, and I am still unlocking so many goddamn outfits. It never stops.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like the avatar sections of the game all around, customizing levels, etc. I feel like they're the most well realized portions of the game.
It's a really cool system for a game that's 3 hours long, and you only use him in like 1/3 of the levels.
Yeah, I like the avatar a lot. Actually, that was a big strength. So that was cool. I'm all thumbs up on that, barring the.
I'm surprised they haven't done it
colors,
before.
Wisps.
Like, this is kind of a genius idea.
Yeah, now I'm concerned it'll never come back.
Yeah.
I read an interview where they wanted to do this kind of thing like 10 years ago, but they never got around to it because they were so inspired by all the fan art they saw of Custom Sonic OCs. So I hope it comes back, and I hope it's in a game that's more fitting towards
I am like always
cool.
worried, and this is something that, again, as someone who likes like a lot of the modern Sonic games, Sonic games in particular have this really bad habit of like almost being there. Like, even people who didn't particularly like Colors were like, yeah, though it was still all right. Like, most people were pretty so on it at worst. If they had made a Sonic Colors 2 and just developed on it instead of making an entire new system again and starting from scratch, or like Generations, where they started from scratch and built this whole new thing in there, or even Forces with Avatar, where it's like, well, cut everything else out, start over again, and like they never take the time to make the number 2 that's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Like, we belabored this point so much, but it worked for like Galaxy to Galaxy 2, or Donkey Kong Country Returns to Tropical Freeze. They spent time using that engine again to make a better game out of it.
And every time the game just feels unfinished, and I think this is the most unfinishedest feeling one, if you ask me.
Yeah, we have a section on that later,
Yes,
but yeah,
we do.
there's
That's true.
definitely things missing about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's briefly go through the story.
Let's talk plot. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, first at the start, Sonic gets captured and tortured for 6 months, which was kind of jarring, but he acts like nothing happens about it.
Yeah.
I think that, really quick, they could have easily fixed that by just not mentioning that he was tortured, because then it just would have worked, like he was imprisoned for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's
I think,
kind of a weird. It seems like that kind of a line is when I notice that they're trying really hard to get across a tone. So I don't know.
I think they're trying to reach this like the Sat AM crowd of this is the resistance and Robotnik has won. But.
Well, it really bummed me out because when I had heard the premise, the image in my mind was the bit during the Shadow the Hedgehog opening FMV where Sonic's like falling over in pain at the beginning. And I was like, yeah, all right, I'm down with that tone. And then you get to the prison and Sonic's like, he looks like he just
Quipping.
finished a fucking chili dog and he's just having a great old time. He's fucking blowing raspberries and patting his belly in the corner.
I don't know. Like, see, the reason that it would have worked, because I'm not really a fan of what they did in Shadow the Hedgehog, so I don't necessarily want that. But it's okay. In SA2, if you've played it, when he's in prison, that works because he wasn't tortured. He was just in prison for a while, and he's pacing around the room and he's impatient. And I think that kind of works, but I think it's just when they throw in the torture line, you get a little bit thrown back. Because even Sonic, I don't know if he could, I don't know what kind of torture that he's talking about. Eggman talks about killing him several times across the game.
The tone was like a Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain kind of shit.
Yeah,
but it didn't deliver on that.
So to be super clear, I don't know if torturing him was the right idea, but if you're gonna have the word come out of the character's mouth, then why not make him look like he didn't have a good time?
It's maybe they're just trying to trick the new kid into caring a lot more about this than they should. They're like, yeah, he's totally torturing Sonic,
right?
And then it's just Sonic's up there fucking making bargains over the armies and stuff.
Zavok.
It's the two heads of the armies talking, so he's just like, yeah, no, let's have negotiations.
Yeah, it just feels like such a basic writing failure where it's you wrote one thing and you completely failed to demonstrate it. And some people still question whether writing that was a good idea or not in the first place. And the next plot point, which Thomas will get to, I think was actually great because a lot of the game shows that it actually fucking happened, whereas the torture thing, it didn't fucking happen. Shut up, he didn't get tortured. Look at him.
Either. That was just so weird.
For 6 months. They thought he was
it's
dead.
Such a fucking
Like, shit.
weird thing to say in a Sonic game. Like, Mario would never get tortured. I'm just gonna put that on the table right now. They would never let that happen.
I wanted him to get tortured.
He will get a tribal tattoo, though.
Knack 2 actually did this better, because there's a sequence in Knack 2 where Knack is thrown in prison for half a year, and it works so much better than it does in Sonic Forces.
I will tell you, the Sonic Forces one, still better than the Fable 2 prison sequence.
Oh, really? I haven't been there.
I guess this is my new fetish, but I was really happy for like 30 seconds when Sonic was getting beat up. It was really funny for some reason to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It was maybe Tails was just like, let me figure this out, Sonic.
He was like, hey, Tails, get a read on this guy. And I'm like, is this Dragon Ball Z? Do you need a read on him? Like, I don't know what that's going to tell you.
All the bad guys are just taking their turn punching him once and hitting him walls.
I'm right there with Thomas, though. It was different. And, like, I kind of thought when Sonic got captured at the beginning, I kind of thought, like, oh, cool. Now we won't get Sonic back until like halfway through the game, and we'll really get a bunch of Avatar stuff going. Nope.
Yeah.
What I did not like is that they paint Tails as, quote, insane, but like I don't understand why he's insane.
Tails has totally lost it.
Tails gets the fucking shaft in this story.
I don't get it. Tails seems perfectly normal. I mean, he has kind of a fetish for classic Sonic, but it's he seems normal. I don't know why everyone discarded him.
I think I don't know, like, because I feel like they like redid the first part of the story or something, and like Tails was supposed to be all shell shocked about the situation, but then they were just like, nah, let's not show Sonic tortured and not show Tails shell shocked and just leave it.
Here's what I think: they wanted a reason to not do Tails stages. That's all. They're like, shit, we're not doing Tails. We already did Avatar, Modern Sonic, Classic Sonic. No, man, people are going to want Tails. Okay, we got to come up with Tails is shell-shocked. Well, sure, fuck it. We're not, programming that shit.
I think the reason they throw that line in there maybe is because they needed... Classic Sonic can't talk, but I think they needed somebody to be with Classic Sonic to make him interesting in cutscenes, because otherwise nothing happens. I don't know.
But nothing happens anyway, so it kind of is like you're right. I agree with your point, but like nothing happens anyway, which just sucks even more. So Tails gets the double shaft. Because all he really does is just
slam on Eggman for like, I'm a real scientist. This is how things are done.
Dude, everyone calls him crazy. He meets up with Classic Sonic, who he likes but ultimately can't talk to. He follows Classic Sonic. Classic Sonic does nothing and then leaves.
And then Tails meets up with the main group again, and they're like, "Hey, Tails, nothing's wrong, right? Like
you're not insane anymore."
Yeah, we're all good, right?
Tails gets nothing, and every other character, like fucking Espio and Silver, are on the screen, jobbing it up in 2017, getting plot, and Tails, man, this is Tails' comeuppance, right?
I want more Silver. I will always want more Silver. If you're gonna put Silver in, you fucking
he just gets jobbed so bad.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the first point of 14 of the story.
Point. Okay, next point. Okay, I think it's a missed opportunity for like making the game larger, because I thought when you were like, it showed you at 0.1% of the world was the resistance. I thought you were going to have like open world where you get to go different stages and do your own thing, but no, it's still a linear thing.
And you know what's weird about that is, I mean, I don't really care too much about that. Like, I don't care that, like, going from stage to stage is fine by me. But the way that they present the story, multiple things are happening at the same time in some instances. So that would have made sense to do. Not that I really care too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was like a layout thing that I found funny with the map. So I kind of like the map screen, but at the same time, I kind of wish they represented it like a little more like a war, where you're like moving the front forward, kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas you're kind of just warping all over the map.
Yeah.
It's like Game of Thrones season 7 syndrome, where they go places. Like, oh, we're here.
Basically.
God.
Because that's the story point here. Eggman takes over the world, and the Resistance has to stop them. And like, I actually think that's really well realized in the cutscenes and the levels, because you see it. You can see that Eggman fucking won. You can see in some of the levels he's got these giant egg machines destroying cities. Like, or giant badniks, I should say.
The same city, in fact, over and over.
He's got his egg Death Star. He's got like everything going, and like that was actually really well realized, and I thought that was cool. And yeah, that was good. That was just thumbs up for me. I do think the world map could have been better because again, yeah, just warping places is just really arbitrary.
And they had like a point for your avatar and your like missions on like every part of the map, and it was just taking up space.
Thank God they let you just open a menu and select levels from a list. Like,
yeah, what was even the point of putting those icons on there?
That was one of my biggest complaints
that's
with
it,
Generations,
right?
was the hub fucking sucked. In Generations, it was worthless. It just made getting from level to level really obnoxious. So I'm glad they just made
it's fun from a casual perspective.
Yeah, but when you're trying to play it more than
But hey, you're supposed to play this game more than once.
Oh god, but like the map is so good for that. Because yeah, like it was cool jumping around from place to place, but it starts becoming a real fucking hodgepodge when you have like 40 markers on the damn screen, and you're kind of like, okay, there's too much here.
Yeah, definitely. The map's a mess at a certain point. You're totally right. Where the numbers are all over the place too. If there wasn't a list, it would be very hard to find the specific ones.
Yeah, you unlock like
knowing already
10 extra stages, plus all the avatar markers, plus all this other stuff, and yeah, it's just impossible.
I think all the avatar markers are so stupid. So like they're on the map, they have these like an avatar wardrobe marker and a side mission marker, right? But they don't just have one of each. They have like 3 or 4 of each around the map.
They're just making the map busy.
And there's buttons mapped for it. I think L and R are mapped to it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just confused as to why they feel the need to have
feels like
not just the icons in the first place, but have them in 4 places on the map.
It feels like they were trying to like make the map not feel empty, because like this game feels like it was probably missing a few levels, and that would kind of support that.
When you get to null space, I think it's pretty apparent that they took a level out of that, because it makes absolutely no sense. But maybe that's just what they wanted, but I think they took a null space level out.
Yo, we're gonna hit null space.
We're gonna hit, you bet your ass. And then we're gonna leave it really quickly. Okay, getting on to Zavok, I was really excited to start when they were playing his music, like the little jingle, and then I got really disappointed because Zavok's this guy who fights you physically in Lost World and turns into Bowser for a second time.
His name is pronounced Zavok. Don't you know?
Zavok, sorry.
Yeah.
Important.
Which
he's this really big physical
pisses
guy.
me off because I always pronounce it Zavok, and Zavok sounds stupid. Like, what?
So anyway, yeah, Zavok
like
is
Brett
made out
Farve.
to be this really big leader guy that takes control of the situation personally and goes physical, and then he fights you on top of a giant bee that just shoots bee missiles at you.
So, if you remember, in Lost World, he also fought you atop a robot.
Yeah, but it was only one part of you fighting him multiple times.
Yeah, so this is suitable, but no, I completely agree with you, actually. It's an utter disappointment. You fight Zavok, and he's on top of a giant robotic wasp, right? And it could have been Chaos standing on top of the wasp.
Oh, don't get me started with Chaos. I'm an adventure boy. They don't use him at all, and it makes me so angry.
Right? Yeah. On the topic of Zavok,
you could have just fought the giant bee by himself. Zavok contributed nothing to that.
But of course, they decide to use fucking Zavok. Like,
we'll get to Chaos, but Zavok is totally fucking wasted. There's nothing. You're fighting a giant wasp that he's standing on. It's fucking
I hate
stupid.
Zavok as a character. I think he was a garbage pile. And
I think
same. Mechanically, the boss was pretty good. Like, I actually liked that boss fight mechanically. I didn't like it. Like, I don't know why they brought back Zavok. I thought we all agreed we hated him, as opposed to Silver, who is our beautiful son that we desire to see.
I don't mind them bringing Zavok back. Like, whatever. Zavok works for me, but I don't necessarily like him. It's just the fact that they use him over a Shadow or Chaos boss fight. Like, it's just insane to me. Because, of course, they do the tried and true Metal Sonic, but then they pick Zavok over Chaos and Shadow. And I mean, I guess Shadow has a reason, quote unquote, but like, I don't know.
Honestly, I would say they didn't use Zavok for a boss fight. They painted him onto a wasp and called it a day.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's you don't fight Zavok. You fight a wasp that he rides on. Like, it's fucking stupid. I mean, Chaos gets it worse, but like, Zavok gets fucking nothing.
Yeah. We should have brought Chili Dog next time.
I agree that I think the fight mechanically is like fun, except for the one bit where it hits the ground and has to knock you into the air.
So I screwed up for like the first 6 minutes because I thought you had to jump
Same.
when he landed.
Yeah.
But then I was like, why can't I hit this guy?
Also,
and then
if you try
turns
to
out he's
homing
on the
attack
ground.
him too fast, you won't like Sonic will it won't work. So like once you get the fight down, I agree that it's pretty good. Like it's not an ideal boss fight, but I wouldn't consider it bad.
It's good for your first boss fight in the game.
It's a fair fight, but on your first
And you can
run,
get down the
you
buzz
can't get
bombers
mucked
pretty
up.
quick and optimize it pretty well.
Yeah.
So
You don't even have to hit him. You just dodge him.
like I don't even homing attack the buzz bombers anymore. I just jump into them because it's much faster.
Okay.
It works, yeah. That's Zavok.
Okay, so I won't belabor a point about how Sonic and your avatar can breathe in space, but that first Sonic and
It's
Avatar
always
stage is-
been that way. I don't know why. It's,
Okay,
That's
for
just
what it's worth,
okay.
Sonic breathing in space is really impressive when you watch like one of the speedruns of the prison escape level for him.
Where he
'Cause
shoots off
you
the
just-
edge.
And
Yeah.
I've gotten that run now like 10 times. It's a really satisfying skip. But yeah, you like
It's a hell of a jump.
like at first you hop off the rail and skip up a place, and then you just rocket through a small hole, and then you just clip, and you're just boosting into space for like, I don't know, a good like 15 seconds, and then you're just floating down through space and praying to God you land on the right spot. And it's just Sonic just floating in the void with his arms up overhead, just like, please land.
Yeah. Taya, like, what's your placement in the world right now with that game? Like, are you really high up, or?
I haven't done any full game runs yet. I did for a while. I managed to be like top 10 on every level for the PC leaderboard with like
Nice.
a couple twos, and I lost my ones for sure. Those were gone pretty quickly.
Are there
yeah, I
a
was
lot of
gonna
cheaters, or is it pretty legit?
There was like a single day where there was a bunch of times that were like 0.00 and like 0.1.00. Yeah, like, and that sucked because like I know most of the people on the top of the leaderboards, so
Yeah.
it was like it really sucked seeing that. But actually, Sega patched it and fixed it like
That's good.
less than a day later. They
Yeah,
just
good on them.
made the leaderboards perfect again, and like they're cleared all the cheaters and all that.
There's a lot of games that still haven't, so yeah, that's really necessary.
Yeah, like Pac-Man DX. It would be really cool to know how good I actually am at Pac-Man.
Nope.
All right. So they land back on Earth. We have our first co-op stage. I think the co-op is a pretty nice system. Although I have to say, when the fist bump song plays, you do like a hand clap. You don't fist bump until like the end of the game. So I don't get it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge ludonarrative dissonance there.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's-
Ruins the game.
It absolutely ruins the game. No, I noticed that too, but like, yeah, whatever. I actually really like the co-op Sonic Avatar stages. I think mechanically they're really enjoyable, and
Surprisingly.
I kind of wish there was more.
It gives
Yeah.
you two options to handle each stage.
I mean,
you play with
before
the
the
Sonic
game-
controls. You can play with the Avatar
Before the game
And I
came out,
didn't-
I thought these wouldn't really be great stages, but they find a way. The work. I don't know. Like
I didn't really watch any of the pre-release coverage aside from like the major trailers, and I was under the impression it was just classic Avatar and Boost, and I didn't realize there was this meshed Avatar Boost set of stages, and I thought they were great. It was fun to bounce back and forth. They were varied and like more intricate. It was cool. I dug those ones a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really like them for going fast in particular because it requires you to use so many different like tech and pieces and moves, and you just have to do so many weird things, swapping stuff out all the time, and it's really fun. And juggling two sets of controls is an interesting beast, but pretty satisfying.
There's just a lot.
I'll skip ahead
happening,
about
yeah.
a part later on, but I like with Avatar Rental, you can technically bring in two sets of abilities in each stage, so it can cover up for like
Yeah,
if
I
you
love
wanted
that.
lightning in one part, then you can switch out to burst for what you need.
Avatar rental was a great feature where you basically you get to borrow someone else's avatar online.
And then you get to see some really crazy designs.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good feature, actually. That again, like the Avatar stuff, pretty well rounded, actually. So, yeah.
All right, next note is Sonic beats Infinite on their next rematch, and they have a really good line where I actually burst out laughing when Infinite says, "Your persistence is futile." There's some good lines in here, but they're kind of lost.
There were some
Yeah,
good
well,
lines.
All the ones read, everyone read by Grimoire Vice is a treasure. Like, just give me all of the Infinite line readings. They're so perfect.
yeah, it helps that it's done by Liam O'Brien. So like
Yeah,
Yeah, well, my first experience with him was like Garou from Naruto, so I was just getting the edginess like, just flowing through my brain.
yeah, he
You know
was
what?
really
Like,
phenomenal as Infinite. Actually,
in
He
that
did a great
scene, like when Sonic goes to save Silver or whatever before they fight, That's when I think I've consistently had a problem with how Sonic's been characterized since Colors. I mean, in Unleashed, he was a little bit boring, so I mean, I guess that's the opposite extreme, but like, the extreme I hate is that ever since Colors, it feels like they need him to not shut up ever. And it's
Yes. Oh my god.
it really
He needs to be
it
Spider-Man.
really grinds my gears and enforces, you know what? Like I'm still a little bit hesitant. Some of the lines don't work, but the one when he's talking to Infinite and he's like, he says, I don't know exactly what he says, but he's like talking about like what Infinite likes and stuff, and then he's like, "What's the source of your power?" But only answer that last one. Don't answer the first two.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, this is the Sonic that I remember. This is the Sonic that is not annoying as fuck. Like, I don't know. I kind of I feel like
one-liners, I think, suck
maybe
too, so.
they found a good place for him. Though there are some points in the game where he calls Infinite a loser, quote unquote. So I don't know. It's
What do you think about the Sonic Boom version? Because I think that one's alright.
Okay,
It's a little bit more self-aware.
If we're talking about the game, I was going to say that Sonic Boom, the game's voice lines are like the extreme of not showing up, where literally to this day, as soon as I pick up a ring, someone in stream chat will immediately type rings like 4 times in a row, or like, they're drawn to me, rings, it's like they're drawn to me, bounce pad, like, oh my god,
that is
Sonic
the worst
Boom
that
was-
Sonic has ever been. I
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
say.
easily.
The difference between the show and the game's writing is stunning.
I
It's
like the
staggering.
Boom Show version of Sonic actually.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
He's very good.
But then you fucking
he's
play
really
the game
fun.
and you're like, wait, no, this isn't actually what the game is at all. Oh boy, yeah, no, the game's writing was like a fucking travesty.
Yeah, Sonic
Which-
Boom, it's a shitty TV show tie-in game. It's the
Yeah.
only way to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
That boss fight was actually, I like the Snake boss fight too.
I love that you can hold down boost, hold left, and just fucking spin. Like the first time I did that, I mean, it doesn't really
you just
help
go
with
real
anything,
fast,
but
I bet, right?
you just go around really fast, and it's really funny. I don't know, like I love doing it for no reason.
Huh.
The boss fight's actually pretty good too.
Yeah. So now classic Sonic warps in. He has his own boss fight and he saves Tails. That boss fight I don't like it that much.
It's all right. It's like so all right.
I'm trying to remember which one that is.
The bullet,
the egg
he's shooting.
dragoon?
He's in an egg
Egg
robot.
dragoon.
Yeah, egg dragon shooting at you, and you don't even have to really dodge. You just stand still.
Oh yeah, that one was. Of course, they got to get the Sonic 1 boss fight in there, and then they
Yeah.
do the egg dragoon, which I grew up with Unleashed. It's a flawed beast, but you know what?
So is Sonic.
I'm glad that they're like, hey, Egg Dragoon. At least they're not
Dragoon's
gonna
cool. That's
like
fine.
consistently pull from classic Sonic all the time, like.
Yeah.
But also the boss fight was not very fun. Like, I don't know.
No.
It's so all right. Like there's just nothing going on. You just
Yeah.
Can I just wait for
It
the
was-
rocks
it was-
to
run
fall
through the
and then-
motions.
It was
and-
probably the most boring of the boss fights
yeah,
Yeah.
I can think of.
definitely. Yeah. It's
Okay.
a good section.
And now Avatar beats Infinite. That was okay, I guess. I really didn't. I found Sonic's inspirational speech really cheesy on that part. There's
thought-
like no
loved it.
build up to it.
I
loved
thought,
it.
that was like one of the best sections of the game. The stage where you play as the Avatar getting harassed by Infinite, and then you fight Infinite. I thought that was one of my favorite, if not my favorite stage.
I mean, what
That was-
Stage
I thought
design
that was
wise, it was
really
kind of
good.
cool with fall flipping.
what I've come to understand about this game's story over time is that, I mean, you mentioned the Sonic line that's kind of cheesy. It becomes way more apparent near the end, too. This game is designed specifically to be self-insert Sonic fanfiction so that you are the Avatar and you feel really good. Like, especially if you're a kid, and you just feel really good because you're with Sonic and you're helping them out. You're fighting Eggman. And Sonic's like your bud, He's your pal. Like, I think that's just how they engineered the story. And if I was a kid, I would love the fuck out of this, Like, this is what, when I was a kid, I would have begged for this kind of game. So,
Yeah. On the other hand, like I am kind of on board with the speculation that like the Avatar used to be a lot more involved in the story. It used to be a lot more about the Avatar and a lot less about
Yeah.
Sonic. Because like I feel like there are seeds of ideas of the Avatar and Infinite's relationship. they interact meaningfully in a couple of cutscenes in ways that other characters don't interact in cutscenes in this game. It's actually like kind of inconsistent how like decent those cutscenes are, because you look at them and you're like, oh, there's actually an idea here.
Because before the game was released and I knew anything about the story, I thought the Infinite was probably like an evil version of your avatar or something like that.
Something like that. Like what's the purpose of a mask, right? It's to hide a secret or conceals, and fucking no, it's nothing. Like no, that
was so weird. That was so
I
weird.
threw away my old weak self.
Yeah, everyone had their theories too. Like my chat was just like blowing up with what everyone thought Infinite would be the whole time. Figured it'd be some goofy thing. Like people are like, "Do you think it's gonna be Tails who was brainwashed?" And I'm like, "Shit, man, maybe that could be pretty fun." I don't know.
No, he just got demoralized by Shadow.
Yep, he just
getting kicked in the head.
He's not happy about being weak.
He fucking got noogied by Shadow so hard he became a supervillain.
If we want to talk about people getting snubbed as well, one of the ones that got me was on the cover of the box. It shows, the cast, Tails, Avatar, Sonic, Other Sonic, and Knuckles. And on the top, it shows Infinite and Eggman, of course, but it also shows Metal Sonic very clearly, as opposed to any of the other bosses, specifically Metal Sonic. And I was like, oh shit, Metal Sonic gonna get some fucking play today. Oh boy, he's gonna get some story! It's his dad! And then he got fucking nothing. Like...
he viewed some Gigantus porn shit.
Which is great. Every day of the week, that's fantastic. But boy, everyone just expected so much more of this game's story, and they delivered so much less. I think that kind of shocked me a lot. That was one of my biggest disappointments throughout the game. Was just
for me, I don't necessarily expect like grand literature from a Sonic game, but also, if you're going to set up these things, especially in trailers where you're like, oh, Shadow is back and Chaos and all this, maybe like realize that a little bit more than you did. Like at least try, because they didn't even try. It's really strange.
What kills me is they set up like a perfect situation for everyone comes in for a big party, including you.
Yeah. Bring
it in, guys. And then, they didn't really deliver on it. Like, they didn't go wild enough story-wise. Mm-hmm. Like, they really could have just fucking leaned in on this. Like,
because
you already made Infinite. You already made a Phantom Ruby because the Chaos Emeralds were getting a little too, tied up in what their limitations were. Like, just
throw in virtual reality. Have a line where Tails talks about how Eggman's overclocking his robot, which made me laugh really hard because he's talking about overclocking GPUs.
So good.
Yeah. Virtual reality, and I'm like, what's going on in this game?
Yeah. No,
I gotta say, does Sega even know what virtual reality is? Because
I don't know. Apparently, you make
it just means I make these things real.
You make a sun that is so real it hurts you.
That's just real reality, Sega. That's what that is. That's just reality.
But I think the thing is, it wouldn't destroy the planet, right? Like they would get to keep the planet.
What was Eggman's goal? I'm going to burn up everybody and keep this...
Yeah, Eggman was hanging around.
It's real to the people who are experiencing it, but apparently not very, because I'll tell you right now, the sun being that close to the Earth would not play.
For sure. But I thought it was kind of neat, because it's like, oh, well, it's more of a mental thing almost, where like, hey, your body thinks you're experiencing pain or experiencing this or that. So like Eggman would be able to fucking nuke the planet and keep the planet,
what if it was like an evil within thing where you were all stuck in virtual reality and this was all just for a figment of your imagination? That would have been a good twist.
Like Saints Row 4 or the ending of Star Ocean Till the End of Time.
And you know what really gets me is that, oh man, never mind. Hold on. We need to save this because it's an end story beat
problem.
And we're getting there.
That's good because I want to build on what you were saying just before. You mentioned that Sonic's plot, I'm going to have to paraphrase, I don't remember the exact wording, but you said something about Sonic's plot was never like particularly well written or great or something to that effect.
His characterization, probably, like, since Colors.
Yeah. Anyhow, I've heard a lot of people mention to me that, like, why did you expect anything of Sonic Force's story? Like, why would you expect anything there? And it's just like, I don't know, like I just kind of yearn for them to manage to land a story as well as like Adventure and Adventure 2.
Well, that's where I'm as
much as the writing's not great, like when you think of how those games are able to build up to a really awesome finale consistently, I can't help but yearn for that. I mean, fuck, you think about like the ending of Adventure and Adventure 2, and they're fucking insane. They're so good.
Yeah.
Even if
I'm not...
the actual script and plot isn't great, it's no Braveheart.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
it's still cool.
Partially what you're getting at, and partially how I feel is just like, you don't want a great story. You want a lot of story, and not like long a lot. You want a lot like happens, and it's over the top and ridiculous, and just very a lot.
And that's to me what SA2 embodies.
It can be garbage. Just fucking shove the garbage in my face. Like, hell yeah. Oh yeah, you mean like the time there was a fucking ultimate being that was a lizard with a spaceship stuck up its ass? Like, yeah, no, give me that, please. Like, fucking give me Sonic 06 where there's a weird end of the world thing and it's just super confusing, and Silver's from the future past and Blaze has to sacrifice herself to the sun god. Like, what the fuck was that?
I don't particularly enjoy playing it, but like whenever I watch the opening video to Shadow the Hedgehog, I get fucking excited because there's so much cool shit happening. And I don't know, I just kind of hoped Forces would be so much cool shit, and it kind of was for like the first half, because it was building up, right? And then it just failed to build up to anything.
Well, it doesn't feel like some kind of like grand step in the Sonic story. It feels like, oh, the time this guy summoned the sun.
Yeah, and
that's it.
And I think there are things thematically in Sonic Forces stories that throw me off even further. Like, okay, so they threw everything in this game, right? You got villains ranging from Metal Sonic to Chaos to Zavok. They're all in there, all the major villains, right? And they're all represented for completely arbitrary reasons. It's totally arbitrary. There's no fucking reason. And I felt that really undermined the notion that Eggman had taken over the planet. He's got all his egg robots everywhere else, but then suddenly you look at his army and it's like 1 million copies of all these supervillains, and it's like, well, why weren't they just the jobbers in the regular levels? Like, that's not... I didn't find that cool that he
Robot designs in this one were really bad. They're really generic.
They were really generic, but nonetheless, it's like, like, you're not sticking your theme. It feels like you're just trying to mash everything together for the sake of having everything. And on that note, like, the Wisps, like, why the fuck are they here? It's classic Sonic. Why the fuck are they here? Like, I feel like everything just got put in because they looked at their engine and they were like, yeah, we got all this shit from the previous games. Let's just fucking... And, let's get the villains in there. Everyone wants the villains. It's like, fuck off. What are you doing? Like, what are you writing? This is trash. Why'd you do this? God, I'm sorry. I kind of like went off the rail there a little bit.
I think the most important thing to take away is that plot holes do not matter. Plot holes do not matter. Honestly, I love SA2's story, and I can pick that to pieces all day long. Like, what I love about SA2 is that there are so many memorable lines. They save the world from like the arc in the sky with the lizard coming down. Like, they... And my favorite part, this is why I always love that Sonic version, is that at the end, Eggman's like, oh, we gotta save the world, like my father or whatever did some crazy shit, and Sonic's like, okay, let's go. Like, that's Sonic to me, is that he just doesn't give a shit, he's gonna go save the world. And I guess that Forces kind of picked up on that a little bit more.
But I think that's like a big success that Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 in particular were able to achieve. Like, you were able to just list off a bunch of sick things that happened in the story, and as much as they might be like a mess in terms of how they're written, they're still fucking sick, and we still remember them super fondly. And in Forces, I don't feel like they succeeded at any of that at all. Like, or at least the follow through on everything was nothing. They set up a lot of ideas. We're gonna sound so thirsty in retrospect. They did nothing. I am thirsty. I'm even more parched after this game.
Okay, let's get to the black hole, which was kind of stupid because it took longer for Eggman to explain the black hole than them to jump back out of it.
Wait, sorry, what was stupid about the black hole? I don't follow.
It took longer for Eggman to explain it than them to jump back out of it.
There was a level missing? Wait, is that what you're trying to get at? Because there was super a level missing.
You're telling me that sucking them into a portal...
I don't think we were meant to end up here.
...run for like 10 seconds in some alternate universe, and then sticking them back out the portal, you telling me that that's like undercooked or bad in any way, shape, or form? I don't think we were meant to end up here. It's fucking
clearly,
abysmal.
super clearly, you were supposed to like get sucked into the black hole, do a
And then
black
have sex
hole
with Sonic,
level,
and then you
and then
leave.
have sex with Sonic, and then leave.
Or at least add a cutscene in there
Yeah.
or something, you know? Like, it feels like they took something out of that.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't played it, there's a section you get to where Infinite and Eggman are like, "Yo, we did it. Time to send you to this awful dimension." And they send
Shadow
you.
Realm.
They send you, yes, to the Shadow Realm. They send you in, and you and the Avatar are there, and you as the player go, "Oh shit, cool," and then you start playing this level, and then they say they're not supposed to be there, and then like 10 seconds later they're out.
Yeah, you just double boost and then you're done.
And all your
That's
Ella's
it.
like,
That's all of
Sonic,
null
you were
space.
gone. Where are you?
Okay. So
Yeah.
you know what? When Knuckles says, "Sonic, where were you?" I kept saying to the stream, "Oh my god, how long has it been? Oh my god, how long has it been?" I thought for sure they'd been gone for like a year. And
Yeah.
and then it was like, nope, they were gone for like 10 seconds. Made no fucking
And I think
difference.
there's a subtle quip in there where Sonic's like, nothing happened, literally. I'm like, is that a jab at the fact that they maybe they didn't get something in there? Like,
and I mean that's just another like writing bit where I think this game failed. Was like, even if you got to cut the level, you could have written that. You could have made it a time skip. You could have done any number of cool things.
Yeah.
But instead it was like the lamest possible thing.
It was really confusing that it was literally like it's weird too because the level is named null space.
Yeah.
And it's not the level.
You spend,
the
like,
level's
less
not
than-
null space at all.
You spend like
Yeah,
a tenth of the
here's-
level in null space tops.
Here's like the entire like null space portion. It's like, hey buddy, even hell can't hold us when we're together. High five, and then you escape.
Yeah.
That's it. That's that entire part. And then the rest of the level is just one of the like city levels, and that's 90%.
It's
of
like
it.
if you had a mall and you called the whole mall Baskin Robbins, even though Baskin Robbins is only like one store in there.
Yeah, you want to go to Baskin Robbins? Exactly. Fucking right.
Yeah, I could hit up the
want-
Sears at Baskin
You want some
Robbins.
soup at the Baskin Robbins?
That was so fucking stupid. And that's a good example, Thomas. Null space was good level, but fuck. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, okay, anyway. So then we have the final showdown where Eggman's, like, countdown timer that he resets, like, 5 times says, "I'm gonna summon the sun now!" And then you see this Battle of Gondor shit where all your heroes are running in a straight line at all these Zavok chaoses and shadows, and it's the dumbest,
It's the ultimate budget Battle of Gondor. Like, it looks so much worse than I thought it would.
Let me link you right.
Also-
Let me link you right now because
Yeah.
the part where Shadow like dashes into a bunch of them is the funniest shit.
It's so bad.
God, the one that killed me is the fact that it's just like a flat plane. Like they all went to the fucking salt flats
Yeah,
for a showdown.
right?
And it rules.
And again, it's just like 4 million of the villain enemies. I would have much rathered if like one of the villain enemies was at the front and there was a bunch of egg
Yeah.
robots. Just like on the hero side where it's like all the heroes and then a bunch of jobber avatars, you know, like
Yeah, all the avatars like share the same animation too. They all stop and start at the same time.
love
It's-
them.
God, why?
Exactly.
Why do they keep bringing back Charmy
Nobody.
the Bee? Who's asking?
They-
for
Nobody's
this?
asking for Charmy.
By the way,
Everyone likes Vector
Who's
and
asking
Espio.
for Charmy?
they brought
the Bee?
Charmy back, but they did not bring Blaze
It's a group
back.
deal. Yeah, if you ask for any member of Chaotix, you have to get the rest of them too.
Like it's a contract
Yeah.
that they sign.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, what are your priorities? What? I don't
I
understand.
actually agree with Thomas there, where it's probably like, yo, we can't just bring back 2 of the Chaotix members.
But they never bring back Mighty. They never bring.
They never
Mighty
bring
back.
back Mighty. But Mighty and Bean are the pair. They're their pair. Mighty and Bean come together.
I demand more Bean in every game.
And what was with Omega being like this big part of the team? He was just,
just
a
came
robot.
in.
Okay,
It's like,
yeah, I
hey.
love that Omega was there because that completes Team Shadow. But like, he's there for all of 2 seconds, and it sucks.
Well, and they act like it's a big deal too. Like when he
Yeah.
falls in, they're like, "Oh shit, he's here!"
I
And
feel
it's
like
just
it was meant to be
huh?
more of a
Oh,
big
the
deal.
robot.
Yeah.
I felt like that they meant to explain that more thoroughly because Infinite was like surprised, which makes no sense because
Yeah, well, so I'm pushing up my glasses on my nose. In episode Shadow, you know, they talk about how Shadow's got to go save Omega because Infinite just beat him up and shit. But it doesn't amount to anything. Like, no amount of backstory makes that appearance particularly good. Like, he just shows up.
These guys were beating up the army of all these summoned guys easily. Like Sonic, apparently Sonic being gone for half a year made him lose.
Yeah.
Sonic didn't need to be here.
Yeah. Also, like, they would have fucking lost if there was that many of the villains. Like, Zavok's got
Just
big muscles.
one of those shadows just had to use chaos control and kill them.
Yeah, like that. Like, there's so many reasons I think that was stupid, and that's a big one.
Okay. So Shadow and Avatar be infinite, and Infinite just disappears,
Yep.
and that's what happened to him, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much?
Infinite just goes away to its own
This
planet.
is what I want to talk about earlier. This grinds my
Okay.
gears a lot. So they beat Infinite, right? And that's when I was like, okay, so that's it, right? Like, we're done. And then okay. Then Eggman's like, I actually have something much stronger than Infinite. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Are you high? Like, what?
What have you been doing? Like, sitting on twiddling your thumbs?
You let Infinite die? Like, what is it?
I do not.
I built a god machine while my jackal ran around.
Yeah.
Because it seems like Infinite would be the kind of person that would betray Eggman at some point. Why don't you just start with your super ultimate death robot egg
Like,
thing?
no fucking shit you lose every time. Like, just do the good thing. You took over the fucking world and you still fucked everything up. Sorry,
just
go ahead.
fight.
They beat Infinite. Infinite
That-
jumps off the screen screaming, and you never see him ever again. And that sucks because Infinite just gets no resolution of any meaning. And then,
Though I will say that I like the final boss. Kind of.
I don't like the second
Kind of.
stage,
The
because
second,
if you fall in the pit...
the second phase has kind
you
of
fall
a
in the pit, you have
bullshit
to start
attack in
over.
it where he just throws
Yeah.
his hand down at a certain point, but it's
Right?
not like the last phase reminded me of Sonic Colors boss fight, and that's nice.
I think
Yeah.
so I didn't like the hand slam down. That sucked because that was just a stupid attack. It didn't actually kill me, I don't think, but like that's just a stupid attack. That's way too fast.
I didn't like the disappearing of the platforms under you on that second part, because you can just die instantly and have to start the whole thing over again.
Yeah, there's some nasty situations there. The second phase, or the third phase, the colors phase, I also didn't like it, to be honest, because like
I like
partially because like I got really far in it and then I died and I did the whole thing again, and it's like basically an auto scroller.
It does feel like it goes on a little long, but that's probably only because there are 3 phases. Like, if it was only the final phase, it would just feel like Sonic Colors boss fight
It
again.
would be way too short.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's an easier version of the Sonic Colors boss fight too.
I think it, honestly, if anything, I would have rathered the final phase was shorter. You have to get a bunch of hits in, and it's kind of arbitrary.
I just appreciate, after the time
Yeah, you
meter,
have to-
I just appreciate like something with substance.
Yeah, and that one too, you can speed it up a lot if you're like using your boost properly and at certain times and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it's still not super great. I think the second phase is the worst for me, but that's just because it's slow, even with drill. Like, it still takes like 3 or 4
Yeah.
hits to cycle it. Like, it has a damage cap, which is kind of obnoxious.
Overall, I really didn't like the last boss at all. I felt like it was really cheap and derivative. The first phase is just an expanded Zavok fight. The second phase is just an expanded Egg Dragoon fight, and the third phase is just the colors boss. Like, I felt like it had no identity of its own. You're just redoing 3 boss fights in a row. So I thought that kind of sucked, and we didn't really chat about it, but like Infinite's second fight in the game is just it's a duplicate of Metal Sonic's fight. And like, you know, Metal Sonic gets that fight and you're like, okay, that's the Metal Sonic fight. And then when Infinite gets it, well, that fight has no identity. You're just doing the exact same thing, but Infinite instead of Metal Sonic. That was one of the things that I think jarred me the most, was like,
But I think, I don't know, I think
His hazards are different. I think they're the same
I think
type,
one of the
like they're the
hazards is
race
different,
boss
right?
fights. Like, there's a couple. There's a lot of stuff it does differently. Also, it's on a circle instead of just a flat
I
bridge.
appreciate
sorry,
about
not the snake.
the
To be clear,
Infinites.
not the snake. The one that's on the flat. There is one that's on a flat area.
Oh, is there? A
it's
flat
the
one?
final
Yeah, there
Infinite
is.
fight.
It's
Oh,
the final
yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
What
Sorry,
I appreciate
had the
about
numbers
the
mixed,
second,
but-
or all of them actually, the Infinite fights, is I kind of like that when you get hit by an attack, he puts you in a loop thing.
I like that.
And
a punishment.
Yeah, I like that, because otherwise
that
it'd be
too.
just piss easy. Like, so
Yeah, for
I
sure.
like them.
But I mean,
I also like that his theme sounds like Gangnam Style.
They don't use his lyrical theme like as much as they should.
no, it's in the background of a
He
cutscene.
he
right?
talks
Like,
over his cutscene with it, yeah.
so
I wish
fucking
it was
lame.
nowhere. That's me.
I wish it was
I don't like
everywhere,
Infinite's
but
theme at all.
It's a good song.
So bad.
I made
can't
the
deal
moment
with
they
your
released
rap.
it. I made an AMV with Naruto 7 minutes later.
Dude, it's so good. It's like
one-
some Meteora shit. I love it.
One thing I really like about the Infinite fights, and it's for, again, all of them, the fact that they do the whole, like, your punishment for getting hit is getting sent to the own zone instead of just taking damage is, like, it means they can make attacks that are, like, legitimately fucking hard to dodge. Like, some of them are really tough to not get hit by.
Yeah.
Because the punishment isn't you're dead or you took a hit or you lost a life, because those don't exist. Thank fucking
It's
God.
still only a chance of getting hit. No, I think that's really smart. I really like that too. I agree.
Yeah, it lets you make a lot more difficult of attacks without it being like unfair, which is a thing Sonic
And none of
games
the
struggle
loops
with.
are very long, so it's not super annoying.
No, they're nice for sure. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were fun, like the first couple Infinite fights, but it's just the repeat fights. Like, that was one of the things that I really hated about the game a lot, was like a lot of the bosses just don't have their own identity. The first couple Infinite fights do, absolutely. The 2D one is like, it is that 2D fight against Infinite. It's not derivative of any other one. The one on the snake, that as well, like, even though it's really similar to the Metal Sonic one, like, it's really separate as well. But like the one that's just the Metal Sonic one with one swapped attack, like, I found it was like, incredibly derivative. And again, the Death Egg robot is just 3 other bosses mashed together. It's not a new...
Like, I wouldn't mind it if the game had more content, and I don't think other people would mind it either if this game just had, like, more, and not more bosses, but, like, more overall. Because, like, I don't know, personally, I really liked the bosses across the board because, like, at worst, they were a little boring, and at best, they were pretty fantastic. And honestly, as long as Sonic doesn't have bosses that are, like, hell on earth, that's good for me, honestly. Like, Sonic bosses go from mediocre to miserable, and if they're all mediocre on the back end, that's fine by me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, thematically though, like, I don't think anyone's arguing that they're very strong. They all, like, again, like, they just suffer from being clones of other boss fights. They have no... I mean, I'm becoming a broken record now. I feel like they have no identity.
Yeah,
Again,
I mean, the thing for me is I think they do have their own identity, like, in-game. There are the repeat ones that are different, but I do like the way the other ones stand out from, like, other Sonic games, or even if they're using the same mechanics. It's one of those things of, it's hard to, when you've got that kind of, like, momentum platforming, to think of stuff like that, to think of, like, new bosses. And, like, every time they've tried to do it really hard, it usually ends up being some of the worst parts of the game, frankly. Like, Lost World, the boss fights on the back half of the game were the worst parts.
Yeah.
It's such a long shot.
But on the other hand, like, repeating the Egg Dragoon phase in the Death Egg robot, like, really? There's like a billion different 2D Sonic boss fight ideas that have existed. Like, really? You had to repeat that one? Like, that was the best you had? You know, repeating the colors boss.
I actually have a feeling I know why all of this happened, but it would be better to... I don't know... I don't have the thing up in front of me, but I don't know when we're going to discuss, like, the development stuff.
It's actually
after,
next. So
yeah.
do you want to just, like... The ending's nothing. It's basically Sonic goes back to his home planet, classic Sonic, and then everyone
Tails is
walks
sad.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we can talk about the development, because I don't think this game was supposed to take like 4 years. I don't think it took nearly that long.
I know what happened, because they released a thing that said it took them 3 years to make the engine, and then they had 1 year left of dev time. And that explains almost everything about the game.
Yeah, there's no way on the fucking planet this game was made in 4 years.
No.
Like, this was not a 4-year game. And I don't fucking know what the fuck they thought they were doing, like, making an entire engine for 3 fucking years. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was...
Sega money.
I think that was
It makes me
decision.
hopeful that they'll lean in and make, like, Sonic Forces 2, or at least use this engine a few times. Because if, like, Sonic Forces is the baseline, and they actually make games from there, like Galaxy 2 style, I think we're going to be in for some really good shit. But that does mean they need to not be like, oh, well, that one game sold poorly. Time to throw away 3 years of work.
How's Lost
fucking
World
start
2
over
sound?
again.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Let's just do one of those. Let's just fucking start over again, because we're Sega and we love throwing out the things that work. Because fuck. Like, oh
Imagine
my god.
if this
probably
game
what
got
they're
the
gonna
time
do.
that it deserved, though. Like, because my biggest complaint overall is not that the game is short, it's that the individual levels are so damn, like, almost, like, there are a few of them that almost have no time to go into any depth. Like, they just sort of end before they do anything interesting.
Yeah,
Some,
well, I mean,
like,
Boost Sonic has always kind of been like, okay, you kind of just replay the level until you learn the best route. But I think Forces has really brought that to a weird point where the levels are so fucking short, you barely have to replay them to learn the best route.
and I don't want them to be long, like, because that would be even worse. Like,
You want them to be intricate.
it's stuff like when you look at Luminous Forest, right? That stage barely does anything. And I mean, part of that is because a lot of it is just a bunch of hallways with nothing in them. But another part, like, that could have been expanded. I look at the model stages as like 2 minutes to 2:30-ish. Like a generations range, not Planet Wisp. A generations range that is not Planet Wisp is kind of my ideal length, because I'd rather have more or less less stages that are more memorable and do more things than a bunch of short stages.
Yeah. Well, it's like that cool casino stage they were advertising is just Casino Night Zone Planet on top of the forest stage.
Yeah.
With
It's
less of
it's
the
only like
stupid
one
looking
act
stuff.
of that too. Like it's
Yeah.
it's so short that nothing ever happens in it.
Yeah, it's weird. Because, like, I'm like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, or even like a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes, I would say, is like a really solid window for
Yeah.
me. But, I'm going pretty fucking quick through them.
Even then, there's a lot of
so
levels
I-
that don't even hit that minute and a half mark.
Like, I like where they are. Like, I thought the level lengths were good for this, for, like, me personally. But there needed to be more to compensate.
Yeah.
Because, like, it actually has about the same amount of levels as Colors, and it's actually about the same length as Colors. Like, a lot of people think it's way shorter, or way longer. But
I think game
having
length
played through
overall
both
has
of them
been
a
pretty
ton.
solid for Sonic games. It's
Yeah.
when you get down to stages, because when I was playing Generations, I felt like I got enough meat. Even in Colors, you go from stage to stage so fast that it's fine.
That's the biggest problem, is the wait time between stages. I feel like is really long in Forces on occasion.
Well, because you have so many cutscenes that take place longer than some of the stages that you're just
yeah.
But
tempo's
colors
off.
and generations are like pretty significantly longer than Forces. Like,
Well, it's
Forces
always
is,
like the first stages in Colors, I would even say, are longer than most of the stages in Forces. The first ones,
Yeah.
anyway.
But like Forces is like what, 3 hours? 3.5, something like that. Like Colors.
It took me 3 hours.
Colors
to
and
beat it.
generations.
I mean, that's
are
what
like a
Colors
solid.
was.
No, they're like a solid
Colors and-
5
No,
hours.
Colors-
I mean,
Okay.
I've just played through. I mean, I've literally just played through both of them like less
I'd
than
say
6
all of
months
the-
ago.
But you're playing them on the replay, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm playing all of them on
Well,
the
let
replay.
me-
I don't talk about like Sonic games on the first playthrough. I don't even know if that like length matters, because
But
that would
I-
mean Mania was like 5.
But I
and then,
think that
you know,
length does
20.
matter. Like the notion that doesn't matter kind of excludes anyone but the most core Sonic fans, right? Like,
Well, I'm talking about like the length on the first playthrough and then also on repeats. Like, I don't know. I guess
I think
went
they're
through
about the
Colors
same
pretty
length.
quickly.
I was about to say
Yeah,
all
they're
the
about the
boost
same
games, but then I
length,
remembered
yeah.
Unleashed is technically a boost game, and
Unleashed is like 100 hours long. Yeah.
Okay, it's got to go fast on this. I think we can agree to disagree that
Well,
Sonic Forces
yeah.
definitely feels lacking.
I mean, I'm checking just a last thing. I'm checking on how long to beat, and like, yeah, like their blue times 5 hours for Generations and Colors, and like 3.5 hours for Forces. I do think it's like actually meaningfully shorter. And I don't think it's just me. Like,
I'd agree on it's shorter on multiple levels. On a narrative level, it feels like something's missing besides that zone we were talking about. Like they have the whole like ocean area and that seaside thing. Where's the chaos fight during that?
where's the chaos fight? Where's the shadow fight? Where's the anything? Yeah.
Instead, we have a bunch of just repeated classic Sonic stages that we didn't really want. Yeah. I think, well, getting to the next point, the network features, I think they added in a whole bunch of stuff to try to pad it out more and make people replay it. Because
I mean,
what's the point of a daily quest if you beat the game in less than a day?
here's the thing. Okay, Sonic Forces is the best they've ever done to get people to start replaying Sonic games. Everything about the extra content in this game is incentive to get people to play it again. Like, everything feeds into the loop of you getting a bunch of avatar costumes for doing extra achievements, and then you doing, if you get red rings, and you get all of them, then it goes up to the next tier of like the numbered rings. And then if you you replay a level, I think the way they wanted you to do it is if you replay a level and you find those, you're like, okay, I'm going to test this out. And if I fail it, I'm just going to keep going. So there's so much in there, and the secret levels too. There's so much in there to keep you replaying that I think this is the strongest they've ever tried doing it. Like, it beats the hell out of Generations missions.
Yeah.
And I think they've perfected that.
Yeah, I agree. The addition of other types of rings is really, really good. I would have liked if they would have kept the missions from Generations as well. Like, if you're going to keep Classic and Colors and Wisps and shit, like, why not keep those as well?
Oh, God. I hated missions.
Just to add more stuff to do for people who want them.
But I like them in Forces because they're more focused, and they're not, like, hit the musical note to Vector. Like...
Yeah, no, you're right. There's some like hyper shitty ones. Those ones really sucked, but Racing Knuckles was fine.
Yeah, like I agree, it's the most open it's ever been to, hey, please replay this. But at the same time, I don't think the narrative is toned in a way that encourages people to keep replaying it, despite the fact that gameplay-wise is built that way.
I mean,
one thing I will say for Network, the leaderboards are really fucking good. And I mentioned it earlier, but like there were people who hacked the leaderboards and they actually went and cleared that shit out and fixed it, which is like pretty amazing. Like, an online leaderboard on a PC game that actually functions is like kind of super painfully rare,
especially
frankly.
on PC, like, where hacking
especially
is a
on
dime
PC. Yeah. When I load up a game's leaderboards on PC, if it's like been more than 2 weeks, I assume there's going to be perfect scores and 9999 and all that shit at this point, because like. Man, even the best of them don't clean it up. So I was really impressed with that. It kind of shows they're maybe taking that part of it a little more seriously as well.
Yeah,
which is nice.
I will say the daily quests do help get S ranks really easily.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Too easily sometimes.
It feels like you're cheating sometimes. Yeah.
There was one time I did like a playthrough just to hunt for red rings and nothing else. But since I had played like a couple days in a row, my quest multiplier was like 3.5 times or some shit.
It's like impossible to not get an S.
Even taking 4 deaths to like, because that was another thing. Since there's no lives, if you do miss like picking up a red ring, because sometimes, like especially in the modern Sonic levels, they'll be like at the end of a rail and you'll whiff it and be like shit, because normally that would mean you have to play the whole level again, but no, you just throw yourself down a pit because there's not lives and then you try again from the checkpoint. But yeah, so I had taken like 4 deaths and still got an S rank because it was just like, yeah, fuck it, enough points, enjoy.
You know what I love about that system? Currently it doesn't unlock anything really. Well, the red rings unlock stages, but going past that, for some reason, I don't know why it doesn't unlock anything, because Supersonic's in the game, but he's not unlocked. It's really strange.
Weird.
But I like how they handle the numbered rings are a bit harder than the red rings, a bit, because you have to get them in order. And then the moon rings, you have to get them in a time limit. So I like how that escalates. So, like, that's why I'm saying they should keep doing stuff like that. Like, just the red rings are fine, but I like the timing-based challenges because they kind of fit more with Sonic Sight. Like,
yeah,
I like that.
I would
think
absolutely adore if they kept supporting this game and like putting content and like bonus levels and stuff in, and just like actually actively supporting product instead of like calling
judging
it
by
a failure and
Generations
dropping
track record,
I don't
I'm not going to
expect
get my
it.
hopes up.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it for sure, but like, God, that would be so cool. Also, God, I hope the PC mod community finds a way to put levels.
Well, they
into this
will.
game, because
they'll do it.
Oh,
because
God,
if you've seen
I can't
Generations
wait.
mod scene, holy shit! Like
I have. A lot of them are really bad.
Yeah,
a lot of them are really bad. So
you can always
check
play
it
as a
out.
walking penis.
Hey, they made the Sonic 06 levels, but good. They are more broken than the Sonic 06 levels. It is fucking incredible. It's oh god.
It's like, we made them better. Oh, if you follow this incredibly specific path, it's better. And then every other permutation is like, no, you made them worse, man. I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I kind of hope they do more free content as well. Episode Shadow I thought was like all right. I'd be down to see Episode Knuckles and Episode Silver and SBO.
I think it was a little bit sloppy in the narrative department. It just jumps all over the place.
Yeah, it has.
Also,
it does
you could
I
tell
thought
that they didn't have time to make cutscenes because they just
It does like a backwards
because they
time
reused a lot of
skip, then
stuff too.
a forwards time skip. Yeah, no, it's all over the place. But I thought it was all right. It was fun to play as.
They have like
as,
really
Shadow. And...
they have really intense dialogue happening in like the Metal Gear Solid like codec call things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like the Hitman does the same thing because the game starts off with like 3 days before Judgment Day. Like Hitman, the new Hitman starts with like 17 years before present day. And it's like, what's my reference level for present day? When does this fucking take place? You have to start at present day, then you go back. But that's just a narrative thing I really hate.
Nothing's good as Sonic Boom, where it starts with Sonic dying, and then you actually get to the part where Sonic allegedly died, and it's fucking nothing.
He did not even come close to dying.
No, like, the opening cutscene for the game is like, they're just like all going and they're like, oh no, Eggman or blah 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 lyrics doing all this stuff, and then like some shit gets knocked down on top of Sonic and they're like, no, and it shows like Sonic dead under the rubble. And then when that actually happens in the game, it's literally just some shit gets knocked on top of Sonic, everyone's like, oh no, and then they just like lift off the rocks and he's like, I'm good. And that's it. That's like the big
I just need a chili dog.
Climax of the game. I'd go for a chili dog. Fuck you. Video game Sonic Boom. Awful.
I guess on a side tangent, so controversy with this game recently happened where YouTuber and known plagiarist Ouija the God decided to play through the game on a stream in 3 hours, then refund it, saying he bought the wrong game, and then he got really defensive about it, and everyone that hasn't already hated him hates him already again on it.
Yeah, that was fucking stupid. You know, maybe don't abuse the fucking refund system live because
it's gonna fuck it up for everyone else.
Exactly. I mean,
especially
fuck this guy
for games that are built like this one. Like this is not a Bubsy situation. Because
this isn't like Bubsy, where Bubsy was fucking abysmal garbage for like $35 or something, and then you just everyone refunded that, and it was totally reasonable because it was so garbage, it was unreal. It would be like me asking to buy like a dresser from you for like $100, and then you just handed me a piece of bubble gum, and you're like, there you go. No.
Because if it was just a one-time fringe thing, it's like, sure, okay, this guy hates Sonic, but this affects other people that want to get like legitimate refunds, and it makes the whole process a lot harder for everybody involved.
Yeah, well, I mean, this guy's...
It also makes streamers look bad.
This guy's like a shit guy in the first place, so like, he was not good in my books anyhow, but this
it sounds like a shitty YouTube baby is going to continue being a shitty YouTube baby.
Yeah.
That's,
that's life. He had the Blue Yeti situation where he plagiarized an entire video, like word for word almost. So
oh, that was that guy?
Yeah, it was that guy.
Hey, I'm using a Blue Yeti. Suck my whole asshole. You can feel free to edit that out or not. I don't care.
So that whole situation ended with him like having to pay the original creator of that video an undisclosed amount, but apparently it was pretty significant and had to end that way.
Nice.
Okay. So obviously we're not going to answer all these questions, but let me just scroll through them. Okay, I'll pick some of the fun ones. I won't pick any of the ones that were like just loaded questions. But let's see.
Were there loaded questions?
There's a lot.
Oh boy.
Okay. Let me just read a loaded question. I won't post who said it. Why is this game bad? Why is Sonic Many a better ones made by just questions like that?
That is the loadedest question.
Yeah.
I was getting so many notifications that I didn't even check what the questions were.
And people really like talk about Sonic.
Yeah.
So
real talk. Like, I'm not like a huge fan of old. Like, I grew up with Sonic 2 on my Genesis when I was a little baby boy, but I like modern Sonic better. So like, I liked this game about as much as I liked Mania. Like, to be honest, like, I like
Mania
more. They were both perfectly good. Yeah. I mean, this game I thought had more glaring weaknesses, but the peaks I enjoyed just as much in each one. I think so.
The memes are better in this one. Okay, so Kawagashi Kai says, friend of ours, if you had to choose 2 other Sonic characters to be your Sonic Heroes team alongside yourselves, who would they be and what would be the team name? It would be Knuckles and Shadow for me.
Silver Blaze, team name is Good Game. Silver Blaze, team Good Game.
Shadow and Espio, because they're the coolest characters.
Oh, fuck you. I was going to take Shadow and Espio. It's not even a hard pick. I'm glad I wasn't.
But I don't know what to name the team. Badass people.
Hidden in shadows.
Badass people. That's the team name.
Well, I guess I have to take Vector and Omega then, which is
don't diss that team.
Good.
That's a cool team. I like that.
I mean, that's Team Hefty Boys. You get Big the Cat on there, and you've got a lot of mass.
Right? Big's banned though for competitive. So
didn't Vector feel really out of place because he was so goofy in comparison to everybody else?
Vector barely did anything.
I don't know what you're talking about. What the? Hey, it's me, Vector.
That's why they call
All
it
I remember about
Vector.
Vector is the line where Knuckles is like,
kid, stop looking so good.
Knuckles is talking to him, and he's like, "This is War, Vector." Like, I love that line.
The one I always remember is just every time your avatar's doing something cool or like anything like that, and he's like, "Hey, newbie, you're gonna make me look bad." It's like, shut up, dude. Like,
You're making yourself sound bad. Yeah. I love Vector.
Okay. U_Flame says, when is Liam going to finish Sonic Unleashed?
Oh god, we're gonna finish it one day.
Okay.
One day.
Enjoy.
I really hate the fact
It's like
so increasing your speed makes it harder to play the game.
It's
what's up with that?
It's a bit of a drag, that game. Boy, the night sequences suck. I gotta say.
Are you even at the final level? Because I've got bad news.
No.
You're like halfway through, aren't you?
I think we're about halfway. For context, I was doing an LP with some guys, and then circumstances made it so we had to take a break on it, and we haven't come back to it yet. But I want to. I want.
I actually like that game, but the final level is complete garbage. Like,
I can't wait.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Also,
if you're playing the Xbox, if you're playing the Xbox or PS4 or
360,
PS3 version, it's 360 is the one I played, and that's the worst version. So congrats, enjoy.
It's worse than the PS3 one, really?
Well, I prefer the 360 one because the PS3 one has an uncapped frame rate, so
I see.
it kind of hovers from 30 to 60, which freaks me out.
gets weird.
So I like.
What a shame the 360 one isn't uncapped, because like on Xbox.
Well, the
One,
360 one has another problem where it just can't maintain 30. So that's
the problem.
That
it drops
one,
a lot.
so,
the Wii.
They should have called it Sonic Uncapped.
I gotta
like,
say, I
Wii and
really hate
PS2
Chip,
version?
by the way.
Oh, Chip's the worst.
He's
Fuck
the
Chip.
worst, right? Thank you. Okay.
Do you guys want me to curse Super Mario Odyssey for you guys?
Why's that?
I can't unhear Cappy as Chip. They sound very similar to me.
That's on
Go
you.
play a Sonic
That's
Odyssey
on you.
now and
no,
listen to
that's
Cappy.
on you. I can separate.
He sounds like Chip.
But he's not Chip. I can separate that.
But Unleashed is particularly painful. Once you hit the point where you don't have enough moons, you're gonna really hate
that's
it.
shitty.
Or
Yeah,
no
that's gonna be
suns or
great.
whatever. That's not a thing in the Wii and PS2 versions. Which is
No,
why
and
they're
those
better.
versions are neat. They are fucking neat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, SSJ, sorry, Dragon Ball Z throws me off, sorry. He says, when will Liam eat his hot pepper? Liam, if I record you eating hot pepper, will you do it?
I was supposed to do a hot pepper gaming video, and then they never got back to me.
The next time we hang out, I'll force you to eat a pepper.
Oh, fuck, I get...
It'll be great.
I guess.
I have a lot of
I feel like if
experience
there's
doing
no
it. It's
reason, I
fun.
don't want to do it, but...
Okay.
like, I want to have a good reason.
Fluffez542 says, how do you think they'll handle character creation in new Sonic titles? I hope they add it. Yeah.
I hope they
Use
just
it
use
at
You have all these
again.
assets now. Reuse it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
the
once,
system
instead
is
of remaking
great.
things.
I would play a full game of just the Avatar. Like, yeah, that was fine. I would have played just that. How do
Sonic
I
Dark
actually,
Brotherhood 2, starring your
how do
Avatar.
I actually think they'll use it? If they do roll it forward, which I sincerely hope they do, I think it'll just be the same sort of thing, and they'll probably just build on it more, change the weapons out. But yeah, based on their development history, I don't see why the Avatar would be too different from what it is now.
Okay, we'll skip some of these ones. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is a detailed one. Fox Den Diary says, the most valid complaint about forces, fourth load question, is sometimes physics and mechanics don't work, especially mean with full design. Water slides. I was able to make sense of some of these after experimenting, but is the big problem a lack of intuitiveness or design? I think sometimes they like throwing in ideas that don't hit the wall right.
I literally never had this problem. Other than the slides. The slides were the only
You're a
time.
special boy, Ty.
Yeah,
Apparently
but I didn't have
I'm a
any
fucking
problems
wizard at
really
Sonic
either.
now,
I
'cause-
mean, some of the Wispons are a
Yeah.
little strange, but like,
I think there's more than a few things that are unintuitive. Like, they'll teach you to do the drop dash, and then you'll be like, oh, let me try a drop dash, and you'll fucking shoot yourself right off the first ledge. I think there's stuff like, the water slides, like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die the first time, and it's not gonna feel fair.
I mean, yeah, the water slides are like
Yeah.
the glaring problem there are the water slides.
But there's also
And
like
luckily
those...
that is like 30 seconds total out of the whole game.
Oh,
So
for
that
sure.
is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still like the bits that are missing the drift where like I don't fucking know. Like I have footage of it where I'm just dying over and over because I'll like be running at it and it won't be like locking me to the turn and I'll just shoot off the edge and I'm like, what the fuck's happening? I think there's a lot of unintuitive design in that regard. I think there's some bad level design too. Late in the game, there's an avatar stage, the final avatar stage, where you're climbing a tower, and the camera is so fucking zoomed out that you can barely see your avatar.
That's true.
I
And
actually,
God
I did run into that problem a few times, but I think it's more so that it's less the camera zooms out, and it's more so that your character like blends in with the background. So sometimes I lost track of. I'm thinking specifically in Luminous Forest in the 2D section. Sonic has a tendency. I kind of lose him sometimes, and maybe this is just because I was a little bit far away from my TV, but like I kind of lost sight of him. And then I was like, wait, where is Sonic? And then I died. But like, it doesn't happen to me very often.
No,
Yeah.
it's very specific. I
all
think.
of this, I wouldn't say like falls under the like physics and mechanics don't work.
Yeah.
Because they do work. Sometimes they're a little weird, and sometimes
Well-
the camera's a little out. But they work. They do consistently what they're expected to do.
But part of the question is the problem a lack of intuitiveness or the design? And I think there's some really unintuitive stuff there. And I think
yeah,
I think where I'm going with it, my end game is like I feel like a third of the levels have like a weird bit that's a little unintuitive, that if you're just playing through on your first playthrough, you're going to run into a lot of like, oh, I just died for what reason?
and like if the game was longer, you could have more tutorialization early on and like stuff like that, and that might help a little bit, make the learning a little more organic.
You could iterate the ideas, so at least the second time you know what
Yeah.
you're getting into.
I'm going to disagree that the problems are what we're talking about, because my most consistent, like, I think all of the Avatar tag team and Sonic stages all work perfectly for me. Even the water slides, like, I guess on first playthrough they were pretty confusing at first, but I got used to them. Classic Sonic, though, is where I get to the part where I don't think that's intuitive. I just don't understand how you're supposed to rationalize that, especially if you come off of Mania. I don't know how you're, like, the way that he controls, I still don't understand.
He requires a lot more momentum than in Mania. Like in Mania, they let you play a lot more loosey goosey with like getting momentum here and there, which worked. It did. But yeah, if you're trying to play it the same as you played Mania, that won't work at all.
You know, to that end as well, like classic Sonic, who he does feel very different, and that's that dude. But Avatar, I know I've heard a lot of more casual players express that they feel like he controls far too stiffly, which I don't think is incorrect. Like when you go into crowds and start attacking, it becomes very, very stiff. Like as soon as you stop trying to move, a lot of people have expressed that they just don't like how Boost Sonic plays and works, and that's at that point it comes down to taste. But I think this unfortunate combination of like, you know, you gotta try to get accustomed to three, one of which is gonna feel a little iffier than the other ones, and even then, there's, you know, comes down to taste for the other two.
I guess the
Plus-
thing is
plus
that
the actual issues were like, again, like you're gonna die here and there just because of new mechanics that aren't fully
like.
You know.
I think what it comes down to is that this is not a Sonic 06 situation. Like, everything works like it's supposed to work, but I think that it comes down to what people want in the game. You know, like, in 06, things just sometimes did not work.
Yeah,
and
it's actually, like, broken. Yeah.
I am kind of glad nobody's comparing it to that, because I was a little bit afraid people were going to start going overboard and being like, oh, this is as bad as 06 or Boom.
No,
But
not even close.
I'm proud of people,
Yeah.
because I expected that.
And sorry to that question asker if I sounded mean. I just realized we're talking about Sonic for 2 hours, and I really want to get through this. Okay, Robert Gutty says, for a serious question, do you think if they were to get fans of adventure games to work on official Sonic, like they did with Mania, could it work? Or is the formula for adventure games not as good as it's made out to be? Or is formula? I just think they're all pretty different games.
I don't
Yeah.
think the formula is what's flawed. I love the adventure games. I think a lot of people look back on the physics really negatively, which I totally disagree about. I think the physics are fucking awesome in those games. But again, that's like high level stuff where like after you learn how to abuse the physics, they become fun.
And
So I don't think the formula is busted for adventure games. I just think, you know, the
I think
execution
that
needs
what they need to
be-
do maybe is extract Sonic from all that extraneous bullshit, like, and then try that maybe. I mean, people will be like, but Lost World, and I'm like, I don't know if they were necessarily attempting to do the same thing there.
Yeah, no, it's a totally
So
Lost World's like
I
its
think
own
there's still a
thing.
chance that they could at least try to emulate that again.
I mean, and as far as having fans of adventure games work on it, honestly, I don't think the game would be good. I'll just put that right on the table because, like, if someone thought Adventures was the best of the 3D Sonic games, they're probably not a good game designer, in my opinion, just because, like, man, mechanically, I went and played through those again recently because I was playing, like, through every Sonic, basically. And, yeah, I will love Sonic Adventure 2 forever. I have a huge soft spot for it. Like, holy shit, do I love that game. Man, is it not hold up.
I mean,
it
you can still be the
hold
biggest
up.
fan of it without thinking it's the best Sonic game,
Exactly.
that's for sure. So.
Yeah,
but,
and I love it to death, but God, it doesn't hold up. And if they tried to build that mechanically instead of the newer ones, it'd be hell. It would be so bad.
Like, the notion that, like, fans should take over because Mania went so well, I think is kind of flawed, because, like, making...
Well, especially
like,
because Mania
is very
so...
impressive. I don't want to discredit Mania in any way. It's incredibly impressive, but the scope of making a 3D Sonic game with the expectations that it would carry nowadays is unrealistic for a team the size of Mania's team.
Especially because the Mania team had been working on hacks for Classic Sonic for years, and it's a much, like, it's still difficult because it's game design, and game design is difficult, but relatively it's a 2D game. It's much simpler than trying to account for all these different variables in 3D games. And
well, it's assets to make.
That too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so we have two questions that'll lead into idea I got to save the next game, whatever it's going to be called. Fabulous Villain with one in it says, why are there Sonic fans still asking for Adventure 3 when they already got Sonic Heroes, 06 Unleashed, etc., which is pretty much exactly that? And another person says, J to Lego 1 says, do you think the internet's game media has given a permanent stigma to Sonic now, regardless of any game's release quality? I say if they just called the next game Sonic Adventure 3, no matter how it turns out, I think from a PR perspective, that would be the Sonic cycle again, getting people back into it.
I definitely think 06 was the closest we got to Adventure 3. Without a doubt. It just fits the mold better with different playable characters and such, but I still think there's a lot of space for Adventure 3. I don't think Unleashed fits that mold. You only have the two different types of playable characters. 06 has more.
They wanted it to be that, but it wasn't. It was real bad.
I feel like if you want to do Adventure 3, you really got to pull in the villains and the protagonists and let you play as them all again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like none of these games fully did Adventure 3 at all. Even though they're similar in a lot of ways, I don't think it's overlapped so hard that Adventure 3 is obsolete or anything.
And as far as why are they still asking for Adventure 3 when they already got all those other games? Well, I mean, fucking people buy Kleenex when there's other tissues that are goddamn identical and cost half as much. But they don't say Kleenex on them, so they're not as good. And, like, it's the same shit with Adventure 3. People will be, like, hanging that out there forever until, you know, they get a good one and then declare that one Adventure 3.
Why were people still asking for a classic Sonic game? They already got CD in Sonic 4.
Why were people asking for Pokemon Z when Pokemon Sun and Moon came out?
Well, that's what it comes down to, is that people assume, because I think there's a bit of a double standard going on, because I think the situation with Sonic 4 and the situation with 06 are, like, exactly the same, where people are like, similar, well, you got 06, so, like, why is anybody asking for Adventure 3 anymore? It's like, well, you got Sonic 4, why are you asking for Classic anymore? Like, obviously, those did not work. Those were failed attempts at trying to do something. Yeah. And I think people equate that to say that they should never try again. And I don't think that's a good, healthy mindset.
A big thing with Adventure 3 is I think they're so worried that if they make Adventure 3 and it doesn't do well, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last 3D Sonic game. If they actually went out and labeled it Adventure 3 and it failed, that's the game. That's the game, folks. No more 3D Sonic, because if that failed, that would be the nail in the coffin. Absolutely, full stop. Like, that is their last trump card of, you know, good feelings. Like, you have to meter out that nostalgia, right? Like, you know, like Sonic Mania came at a time where it was really, really high. Like, people really wanted that. So they're going to wait for Adventure 3 until it's a time where, break glass, they reveal a Final Fantasy VII. Exactly, Final Fantasy VII remake in HD when everyone's at an all-time low for that console, and then immediately, bam, everyone's paying attention. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Adventure 3 is kind of it'll either be the turning point or the end, you know? Like, it's a big deal. Like, and as much as people say they don't give a shit about modern Sonic, I think if Adventure 3 were to get made and it was looking as good as the first two games looked for their time, I think people would give a shit again, or at least the expectations would be in the right place, Sonic Forces from day one, a lot of people were really down on it, but I don't know. And to build on what you said before, King, actually, about like, well, if you had a bad one, why do you keep doing it at all? It really upsets me to see a lot of people saying that in the wake of Forces, they should just fire Sonic Team and just have
that is not
Whitehead.
Necessarily the solution there.
God,
that is
especially when they spent 3 goddamn years working on engine and 1 on game.
Yeah,
that is the last thing you do. You have people who know that engine and know how to work with it better than anyone else. You just give them 4 fucking years. Give them time.
It's one thing to be like, maybe they should change the gameplay style, but it's another thing to be like, fire them. Like, that's kind of radical. Like, don't do that.
Definitely.
One of these Twitter comments is very much like
don't
that.
think
like,
they understand how the real world works.
As someone who has worked on some major projects that ended up falling through, man, fuck y'all.
I know, that's fucked up.
If, like, something entirely out of my control, like happened to not do well, because there was someone there who all they did was design clothing for the Avatar, and they did a fucking kick-ass job. They don't deserve to be fired.
Everyone who did the Avatar, pat yourself on the back. You did a great job in general. Yeah.
The music was great. Don't fire that person. You're
Well, people chastise companies for shutting down companies, like Visceral getting shut down recently, despite Visceral internally being a complete disaster per Jason Schreier's huge investigation. And then they turn around and say, fire all of Sonic Team. Like, it's the most hypocritical bullshit ever. That said, Sega, why didn't you give Sonic Team another year? I would have really liked it if you would have given them another year. But, don't fucking fire them.
Especially because
even
Sega
Christian Whitehead doesn't want them fired.
Sega has more to rely on now. Like, it used to be only Sonic, but now Sega has consumed, like, Persona. Sega has,
you can't tell, but I just slid across my floor with my hands in the air screaming Football Manager. And I just, like, muted my mic for how excited I was for Football Manager and how Sega will never be able to go out of business because they have Football Manager.
Exactly.
Also PSO2 in Japan, which I would really like if they bring to America, but it would be so far behind on content. And that's another story. Sega fucks up on occasion, is what I'm getting at.
It's just that since Sonic is not their sole, like, they don't, like, need to necessarily rely on Sonic like they used to. So they should be able to give it more time. I don't know.
Especially when their new mascot is Hatsune Miku.
Basically.
They
have so many
really
successful series these days that I find it weird that they would just throw Sonic out like this and not just
Valkyria Chronicles 4 just got announced. They have time to play around.
I would really like if they looked and like took a hard look at like how Nintendo's successes are coming together with stuff like Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, where obviously those were a bit too protracted, but also they were, creating an engine, getting stuff optimized for a new system, all this other stuff. But like, man, just put the time in and make one that's incredible. Like, just win reputation back.
Yeah.
And I think they could do that. They have enough stuff sitting around on the side. I mean, fuck, if they want to have a team go ahead and just make Sonic Mania 2 and 3 over, like, 5 or 6 years while they work on one Sonic game, I'll deal with that.
I mean, even then, like, Mario 3D World to Mario Odyssey was 3 years, 11 months from release to release. Like, God, it's like, it just shouldn't have turned out the way it did for whatever reason. Yeah, no, but I agree that they should have given it more time as well. Like the notion that in today's market, you would look at the game in the state that it was and say, yeah, this is ready. This is ready for prime time. Like, that just seems really.
It feels a little marketing-y too.
I think it ties into one of these questions that's Jokey Silent says, if you were in charge of development, what would you change and why? I think another year in the oven would have really improved this game.
Yeah, so
they could have doubled the content.
I guess this question goes two ways. Like, if you were in charge of publishing or development, because development means you wouldn't get the extra time. If I could do anything, just give them an extra year, right? But if development, Christ, like, without trying to just pick stuff that I like, I would probably say, I would probably say cut classic Sonic and focus on making the other shit better. Although also I would say commit more to the Avatar, like have more faith in that, because I feel like it puts too much on Sonic and the Avatar doesn't get enough.
Because what it could have been, like you said earlier, could have been half the game is you start out the Avatar rescuing Sonic, and then Sonic kind of has like a Devil May Cry 4 kind of thing where you go back through stages.
And with
as
the co-op
Sonic.
levels, especially,
Those were
you could do
great.
so much with that. Yeah, and the co-op levels were fucking great. Like, yeah, like even though I did like classic Sonic, I would absolutely agree they were the weakest part. Like that's I don't think that's up for debate.
What I think would have been cool too is that they made a model for Shadow, like a playable model that for like you can switch in between with Sonic, which might be like the first time in a long time that that's been possible, that you could even play as Shadow without mods, of course. But like, what I think would have been cool is if you have the Avatar and Sonic. What it seems like it would be pretty. I mean, like I don't know about asset modeling and stuff, but especially if they had an extra year, if they didn't have classic Sonic in there, they just had the Avatar and Sonic. Maybe you make the same kind of Sonic level design, but you have like Shadow specific stages and he plays no differently, but he's just a Shadow skin over Sonic.
Well, Shadow does play differently, which is really nice. I do
just
like
a
that.
little, yeah.
I like I noticed it very quickly because like the way he
skating.
does floats off.
Yeah,
boost.
I actually didn't know there was a difference, so I'm kind of curious now.
He floats a lot more off boosts, and like the way
Now
his
see that's
momentum
the
carries
kind of change
after
that
landing.
I'd be okay with. Yeah, that sounds dope.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff is what I'm all about. I want him to play differently. Like, and again, it always has this like weird half tinge of like, well, that was bad. It's like, but they did some good stuff. In 06, the way Shadow moved was way too different, and like he got that weird homing attack that instead sticks you in place doing sweet kung fu moves for like 7 attacks or some shit. But the thing they did do is the way he carried momentum from his homing attack on landing was way different. Like he just took it and ran really quickly. So it was good. I'd like to see stuff like that, but
especially in a game like this, where the point is that you're a resistance group and you want to get your best assets out there to go do work. Maybe incorporate Silver in a way. Like his boost could be him floating. You don't need to do all the 06 stuff that they did, obviously, but like that'd be nice.
I really still hope that they could do some more character stories like Shadows, and if they really got to keep it to characters like Sonic, it would be sick to get Silver and Espio to have their own little set of 3 levels or something. Knuckles and Tails are really different, and I respect that. They all play different, or they're meant to play differently, but like, come on, Espio and Silver, you guys can write that shit off. I would like that. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily, but they're the most similar, so I don't know.
Okay, another improvement: make romance options. I want to romance my favorite characters.
Boy.
Yeah, I think other improvement, and this is just a shitty improvement, is like you really need to just have better writing. Like there's no reason to have writing as callous as this.
Or just go all the way or don't at all. Like
yeah,
I would say that's the main thing. Go all the way.
Yeah,
on all of it.
It's
like
again,
either
thing
be
of, like,
Generations or go all the way. Like if you're not gonna try, please just don't try, because then it just comes off as a middling. Like it's even
just make it like Shadow falling to Earth after blowing up a space lizard and maybe being dead, who knows? But then there's like a thumbs up of Shadow over the planet, like, I think he made it. Like, do that. Like, go nuts. Like, just fucking make it as ridiculous as possible. Fucking Archie Comics that shit up to 100.
Well, like, this could have been like a precursor to Boom, and like a whole world could have been destroyed, and Sonic gets reincarnated in his Boom form or something. That's why he has all the stupid long legs and scarves and shit.
Well, like, I mean, you look at the fucking cover of this box on the shelf and you're like, well, who the fuck's Infinite? Do I have money down on the Avatar dying to take a lethal hit for Sonic? Like, these are like super obvious things that they should have been able to capitalize on.
That was the worst. That was the worst of the whole
didn't.
thing for me, by the way, is the
Infinite,
fact that at the end it's just the Avatar just like walks away.
Oh,
and
that,
that's him just like, hey, you're going too. And I'm like, yeah, no, I was so banking on how dope would it be if it's like yo, there's a portal open to the other world, but someone needs to go in there to stop it, but they won't be able to come back. And then the avatar turns back and nods as you like, I never want to close my eyes. Just
and you play
fist
fist
you
bump.
fly into the sun. It just plays fist bump as you fucking like run into the void.
And
like,
then
how much better would that be?
And then like Sonic's crying and he wishes for handkerchiefs and shit. Like it would be so good. But no,
and then your avatar teleports to Yakuza world.
But like seriously, like it's not even remotely difficult to look at the story that's here and just say, well, why didn't you just write that? Well, why didn't you just write that? And like these are like simple changes. Again, stuff like, well, why don't you just say he wasn't tortured? Why don't you, or if he was tortured, why don't you show that he was tortured? Like stupid.
That's why he has the bandages and boom,
shit, right? Like
he was tortured.
Yeah, it changed the fucking color of his arms. He got beat that hard.
That's lore. That's lore I want real bad now.
Yeah, no, but like, I'll quadruple down on like, why the fuck's the story like this? What the fuck happened to the story?
Yeah, it makes me really hopeful for Sonic Forces 2.
Yeah.
If they have more than a year to work on it.
Oh, so
really
do you guys know the
excited to see
original
what they
prototype
do.
name for this game?
No.
It was going to be Sonic Wars, according to the files in the game. And I think that's much a better title.
That's sick.
Sonic Wars.
Sonic Wars.
Fucking Advance Wars 3, finally. Finally, this true sequel to Advance Wars 2.
Instead, we just got Sonic Forces, and then whatever you want to insert besides that as a verb.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking through this again, Megaflare 8. Do you think Roog the Bat should be a choice for character creation? Yes. As someone who's not furry, I have to say Roog is pretty hot.
What are you saying, Roog? Why are you saying
Roog the Bat. Roog.
I'm reading it as it is inside this Twitter thing.
It says Rouge.
I would like there. I would
It
like there
says
to be,
Roog? Okay.
I would like there to be less Roog the Bat everywhere, because fucking Maddie, I think it was Maddie during the Sonic Boom LP I did did a joke of just jacking off, like claiming to jack off every time Roog showed up at any point, including at one point just being like, oh, weird, it's been 8 hours. Oh, weird, there's Rouge the Bat. Well, I'll see ya. And just like left for like 10 minutes. And it was like, so now every time...
She sounded a lot hornier in this game than usual.
That's good. That's a big thumbs up.
It kind of freaked me out. She's in a game series called Zero Escape, and she plays Fi. And it freaks me out to hear that character in Rouge, because they sound exactly the same.
But they're the most different characters.
Yeah, it's really strange.
See, that's why I loved Infinite with the fucking Grimoire Vice.
Yeah.
Because that's all I heard was fucking Nier voice acting coming out of Infinite the Hedgehog, and I was dying laughing.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised Bat wasn't a choice in the character creation. But, yeah, they still got a pretty good spread.
Yeah.
It also makes sense why they couldn't do Echidna or Bat, because those have like established mechanics, and they couldn't let you have those. Like that level of hover would have broken the game entirely.
I mean, granted,
why can't I dig through things?
Fly, but yeah.
Why can't I chuckle? Okay, Valenmoro says, how do you think the soundtrack compares? That's okay.
I don't typically compare Sonic soundtracks because I just kind of have a mega playlist of every single Sonic song. So, like, it's great again, you know? Like, and this one is particularly great because it has the vocals and it's amazing. Like, oh man, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so many good vocal tracks. I agree.
I fucking adore what they did with the thematics on the music of classic Sonic levels are like the little 16-bit things. Fucking modern Sonic levels are your favorite non-vocal butt jams of 2002 or whatever, and then all the Avatar levels are like vocal backed butt jams, which I am just super on board with. I fucking loved it.
And they fit the mood because in Imperial Tower it's just like you need to save the world right now, and it's like super uplifting, but also like, will you save the world? It's like, oh my god, they went full in that. Like whoever's making that music went full on. Like, they knew what was happening.
Although I gotta say that I'm a little bummed that in regards to the finale, Super Mario Odyssey out-Sonic'd Sonic with the lyrics.
It's true. Yeah,
that's true.
It's true.
That moment
like,
was
holy
amazing.
shit. Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 were the fucking kings of this. And then
Odyssey took it.
And you get to Mario Odyssey and you're like, oh shit. Gauntlet fucking thrown. And Forces doesn't really end with a sick track.
My
so.
biggest music problem with Forces is there are 2 times that you do the double boost and it does like a single bar from fist bump and then just stops. And I'm like,
sucks.
no. Like it's like da 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 ba ba da ba da, and then it's done. And you're like,
what
no,
the fuck was that?
You can't do
You
the
just blue-balled
sting
me.
and then come on, I need my bump.
No, that sucked. Forces does one of those things that I hate in games where it doesn't let the song fucking finish.
Yeah.
And I know this is always kind of an unrealistic thing to say because obviously it takes a lot of work. But if you're gonna put a fucking sick song in your game, then maybe just try to find a way to let it finish sometimes.
Revengeance does as well.
Revengeance does.
Revengeance does really dynamic music, so it like skips throughout parts of it. Which, for the record, when you're playing through the game really quickly, the skipping becomes very jarring.
Yeah,
because it'll skip between like
totally
3
does.
forms of the song in like 45 seconds.
Oh no, it totally does. But like, it's nothing like having fucking Theme of Infinite Feet Danger Kids playing in the background of a cutscene for 30 seconds. Like,
yeah, and then not finishing. God, that sucks.
that's
it's so bad.
trash. Like that shouldn't.
Can't wait for Forces 2 when they have the time and the length. I'm convinced.
Sonic Forces and the Secret Rings.
Loaded
Yes,
question, but I like
finally.
this one. Who do you think is the cutest Sonic character, and why is it Eggman? I agree, it is Eggman. Have you seen him in
Sonic-
his pajamas? Those
Sonic
are cute pajamas.
Boom Eggman. Sonic Boom Eggman, where he
Sonic
has like
Boom
a lot
Eggman's
of like
great.
emotional problems. Yeah, where he's got like a lot of like. He's got a lot of issues he's working through. Love that
Yeah.
Eggman.
And he's a Shadow fanboy too. I love that.
Yeah, I really like the episode where Robotnik wants to form an evil Justice League with Shadow Hedgehog, and they're trying to do like cooperation exercises, and Shadow just wants none of it. Okay.
I don't know. Probably Shadow. Shadow's great. I love Shadow. Shut up.
I think I turned a friend to a furry because I showed her Shadow and Boom, and she fell in love with him. He's just a little bit taller, and he has a little, like, tiny quills.
I really like Bunny Rabbit.
Bunny Rabbot.
Bunny Rabbit. She's one of my favorites. Her and Tikal, I think, are the cutest.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
We're talking about cutest Sonic characters. Come on, keep up.
I think
the
Tiny's
cutest
insulin.
character
Oh wait,
is
no,
Knuckles.
it's the lovingly rendered fucking hoagie from like any of the games where Eggman eats a very lovingly rendered hoagie. Because there's like 4 of those, by the way, where there's just a cutscene with like on the Wii, it's like everything looks like garbage, 360p, whatever, and then there's this fucking 4K sub in the middle of the scene.
Oh, Liam, I think great character, Death Big in Unleashed. You have to go through all the stereotypes of every country, and then you get to America, and it's Death Big.
Yeah, he's solid. What about Vanilla the Rabbit? You remember her?
Vanilla.
Cream's mother?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Robotnik actually kidnapped her.
There are a lot of cute characters. What about Emerald? Emerald can be whatever you want.
What about
Emerald
fucking
can be
Manic?
whatever you want. What about Manic?
What about Manic?
What about
Manic the
Scourge?
Hedgehog, the fucking grease slime boy who just fucking thieves. Also voiced by Jaleel White.
What about the Gun Commander?
Oh my god, yeah.
What about the president, Obama? What about Obama?
What
Got
about
a picture of
Snidely?
Shadow and
It's
Sonic
Obama.
on his desk.
The cutest fucking Sonic character is President Obama. Done.
Abyss Cutter says, how many Sonic OCs did you think died during the Resistance attack? I guess there were a lot of deaths that we didn't see on screen, but were mentioned in the, audio.
Remember
Yeah,
in
thousands.
like I don't know if it was Imperial Tower or something else, but where Knuckles was like, I don't know if he said something about how like they're losing, and I took that to mean something darker than it probably meant. I don't know.
Like they're all dying.
Also, there are a lot of
It's like the
scenes where
commander said,
Infinite
"We
is
lost
just
too much, we gotta pull back."
Infinite is just destroying everything, and I also kind of took that to mean that he's killing a bunch of people. Because Eggman also mentions that he wants Infinite to kill Sonic, so like they're not above it. Like
No,
Yeah.
they literally want to murder. I mean, they tortured him for I suppose
He's an
information,
assassin.
but
Remember? Don't forget, Infinite
He's
was
part
a
of the Jackal
hitman.
Squad.
Yeah, he's part of the Jackal Squad.
on the topic of them dying and the war feeling real, there's the like city stages near the end. You know that one cool Sonic one where you're going down a big hill for like a long time? There's a bit where you talk to this like generic dude with a mustache who's like the captain of a ship. And whenever he pops up, I'm like, yeah, this guy's piloting a fucking sovereign battle cruiser from StarCraft. Like this dude's in there. Those soldiers in those stages were the most legit at making the war feel like people were dying and like stuff was happening. So I really
it's like Sonic Knuckles, like we lost 60% of our ground troops and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like wow, hundreds of thousands of them died.
Okay, now for some non-Sonic related questions so we can all stop turning to Alex Jones yelling about Sonic. Finally, Zach says, what's the greatest controller ever made? The Xbox Elite.
The GameCube controller.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for GameCube as well.
Oh, fuck off! Fuck off! No, the Wii U Pro controller is my favorite one.
You fucking serious? You fucking high? The GameCube controller is so much better.
The Wii U Pro. Wait, the GameCube controller? You mean that thing that feels like fucking it was made for a 2-year-old to bang on the floor? I hate it.
Best.
It feels like a child's toy.
If I had to pick a modern
Pro
controller, the PS4 is the one that I use the most often. But
I like the Wii U Pro controller and then the Switch Pro controller. I
don't have any
Nintendo
Pro controllers because they're so much money that I don't buy them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I use the Wii U Pro controller. I use it for computer stuff. Like, I use it for all my computer games.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's compatible.
I didn't even know it was compatible. I didn't think Nintendo was that forward thinking.
Well, no, it's not. I have an adapter that makes it X input or D input.
That's cheating then.
Yeah, I have an adapter. But no, like, it's just really good because it's D-pad and buttons on bottom, which is what I'll be using together, or both sticks on top, which then I'll be using the triggers. So I either, like, am holding in line, whereas all the other ones have like the stick and the buttons reversed. And it's pretty rare that I'm using the left stick, the right stick, and then like not using face buttons. Like usually if I'm using the face buttons, I'm using the D-pad. And if I'm using the left stick, I'm using the right stick. Like there's some exceptions.
I couldn't really deal with right stick on top. Like I have one and it's neat, but like I can't. I prefer to play with the Wii U gamepad. Like if I have to pick.
Yeah,
I like
the Switch is good though.
The Switch's Pro
really
controller is really good. Yeah. No, I really dig that one as well. Modern controllers, my favorite is the Xbox One Elite controller.
Yeah, that's mine.
Which if you
I use it on everything.
Specifically the Elite one, it feels a cut above.
Like if you like just moving the joysticks feels so good.
It's like
I'm doing it right now.
Actually ridiculous, the build quality. You gotta just like swing by a fucking GameStop and just pick one up and just
I don't know.
try.
Those Xbox controllers are too big for me. Like that's why I like the PS4 controller. It fits perfectly for me.
I like the PS4 controller a lot too. I think it's great.
It's understated, but I really like the microphone in there because there's only a few games that use it, but when they talk to you or just like cool things, like no one plays King of Fighters with a PS4 regular controller, but your characters will talk to you when they get hit in that game. Like Terry Bogard will say, "Hey, get off me!" and stuff like that. Okay, we gotta wrap this up because Ty has to go, but let's make this quick. XVIII says, "Getting a Switch soon. Any strong titles besides first party ones?"
Get Breath of... I don't know. Besides first-party ones?
Get Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, Rabbids.
If you get Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, then you're set for life.
Tetris?
Like...
Puyo Puyo Tetris, yes.
Puyo Puyo Tetris is really good.
Really understated, yeah.
The port of Stardew Valley is good. They fixed a couple things around, although you can't add in mods.
I like Sonic Mania on it.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's a portable
Splatoon 2
game.
is really good too, guys. Splatoon 2
SteamWorld Dig.
SteamWorld Dig 2, yeah. If you're into racing games, either Fast RMX or Mario Kart, depending on your taste. One of those will do you. I also, they're really understated, but all the games by 2D Boy, that is to say, World of Goo, Human Resource Machine, and Little Inferno. Those are all really, really good titles. I also think like ARMS is good if you're into like Gundam Versus or Virtual On.
A very slow version of Gundam Versus.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy ARMS at all. Yeah.
No, I kind of fell off of it too. Like if you want a 2D fighter, or if you're into 2D fighters, you won't necessarily dig ARMS because it's a very different type of fighting game. But if you like those sorts of 3D, how do you is there a name for those, Thomas? Or
3D arena.
Yeah,
battlers.
that's what I was gonna say. But if you like,
because the city falls
arena
in the same
fighters,
category.
ARMS
That's
just
good
super
too.
needs like 20 content updates before I'll even consider it. Or like a
Because
price
people
tag
were
getting a lot
expecting to be
better.
like Splatoon, but
$5.
it wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
there's just like nothing. Like even when I played it, it was like one-on-one fights and then a bunch of other modes that sucked. Like that
I think
was the big
they,
problem. It was like
they could have really
one-on-one
padded it out with like an RPG system where you like level up arms and play through some kind of campaign where you just fight robots over and over.
Some-
I wish they
Yeah.
had a
Something.
Weapon Master mode. Yeah. This weekend's the first like quote unquote Splatfest for ARMS. They're starting to roll those out now. So
Finally.
yeah.
Juan Andres Z50 says top 5 3DS games a year. I don't know if this is a honeypot because there's
Have there even been 5 3DS games this year?
Top
Like,
5. There absolutely have,
Port of-
but like
yeah.
God,
There's Yokai Watch 2. There's Dragon Quest 8 port.
There was a Metroid game.
Pokemon, Metroid.
I mean, the only thing I've really played from the 3DS this year is Metroid, which I haven't finished, and Ultra Moon, which I just bought and played 5 minutes of. So I don't know, like
You know what I've played this year that I really liked? Monster Hunter Generations. Again, fucking just play it again. It's still good.
I didn't even know
Just
that
play
came
more
out. This
Monster
year.
Fire
Hunter.
Emblem
Just finish
Shadows.
Monster Hunter, play
Shadows
more.
of Valentia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shadows of Valentia was really good. Different. Really different. A lot of people said it was a good return to form. It's just as different from regular Fire Emblem as Fates is, but I think I preferred it aesthetically so much more than Fates that I felt really good about that. Shadows of Valentia has amazing voice acting and like English localization. I don't know if you guys caught that, but it's really startlingly good. Not even by Fire Emblem standards. Like, it's fucking good by video game standards. I was really impressed. Metroid Samus Returns, I think, is a bit overrated. Like, I don't think it's as good as like Fusion or Super or Zero Mission, but it's still really quite good. Ever Oasis, nobody's talking about it. I think rightfully so, because it's not the best thing, but I can't wait for Ever Oasis 2, because boy, there's a good groundwork there.
Always looking forward to the future. Let's not dawdle on this one too much.
Yeah, I don't want to dawdle on it either. Those are the only 3 that really stick out to me, personally. So
At Phil_Smash Bro says, are there any games with any real strong emotional nostalgia for you? Are there any games that lost nostalgic? So for me, I recently went back and played a couple of Genesis games, and they really don't hold up as good as they used to. Like, I recently tried playing Phantasy Star 4 again, and that was one of my favorite RPGs at the time, and it's just not as good as I remember it being.
something that I'm really strongly nostalgic for that I recently lost a little bit for was Mega Man Battle Network, which I love that series, and I recently have gone back to play Mega Man Battle Network 5, which was one that I remembered being good, not the peaks that were 3 and 6, but still quite good. And I was kind of surprised at how much more filler and how much smaller the world felt than I remembered. I probably said that weird, but there was a lot of filler, and the world was way smaller than I thought it was. And I certainly lost a little bit to that one, which bummed me out a little. So
I'm sure there's a lot of games if I
mean,
went back and played them now, I wouldn't.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably my top.
Oh god, yeah, Kingdom Hearts was easily the worst one for me. Like, oh my god, I did that recently. I went back and tried to play through Kingdom Hearts 2. It was just fucking miserable, and like everyone in chat was like, "Oh yeah, this section's really bad," but then the game really opens up and it gets a lot better. And this was for every single area for like the first 7 hours. And I was just
Well, I mean,
miserable
I
the
still
whole
think
time.
Kingdom Hearts 2 has held up, and it's one of my favorite games. I don't know. Kingdom Hearts.
I think it's held up better than one.
Kingdom Hearts 1 is.
I played it
is,
recently and,
Kingdom Hearts 1. I don't know.
Well, one has camera problems, like a lot of very severe camera problems.
I think it has
like,
pacing problems.
Yeah, and 2, 2 opens up with so many bad areas too. Like the
I will
Mulan
agree
area
that
where it's like,
Kingdom
don't
Hearts
let
2
him get
doesn't have a good
orbs.
opening.
oh fuck, I didn't know there was a Mulan area. Don't spoil me. I still have yet to play it.
How do you not have yet to play Kingdom Hearts 2?
I didn't have a PS2 when I was younger, so it
He
just
didn't
never
grow up with
happened.
be
Szechuan
honest.
sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, gonna be honest, it's a bit far out for me to feel bad about spoiling Kingdom Hearts 2.
No, that's it's fine. I'm just joking. Recently, so I played through the first Kingdom Hearts for the first time relatively recently. I streamed it, and I had a blast despite its blatant flaws. It was still really cool, and like, what the fuck? Sora has parents? That's fucking weird. I can't reconcile that. But so Chain of Memories, I had played as a kid, the GBA one, and I loved it. I love card game, video games, hence Mega Man Battle Network as well. And people were saying after the first game I should go do Chain of Memories, and I was like hemming and hawing over should I do the original or should I do Rechain of Memories, because I remembered hating Rechain of Memories when it came out on PS2. I had gotten a PS3 at that point that had backwards compatibility, so I did play that one. I remembered hating it, and I'd only played like the first 2 areas in Rechain of Memories, and so I said, you know what, I'm just going to do the suicidal choice and play both of them simultaneously. And so I did a full LP of Chain of Memories and Rechain of Memories simultaneously, and Rechain of Memories was actually way better than I thought it was, and on the other side, Chain of Memories was like super not as good as I remembered it being, and like flawed in a lot of places. So that one got me too.
Do tell them about your realization about Organization 13 names, though.
Oh, yeah. I did not realize Organization 13 names, spoilers, were just rearranged names with an X added. And then this kind of clicked, because I knew that Axel's name was Leia. I had been spoiled over time on that, or Lee or whatever, Lea, right? And I was doing the, like, post-game organization fight that's in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. And I was like, Roxas, and it fucking clicked that like Roxas was Sora, and I was like, holy shit, it fucking blew my mind. I was screaming. I could not believe it.
Was this on stream or not? Because I want to see your reaction.
Yeah, no, the footage super exists. It blew my mind. It was the best. Okay. Kingdom Hearts is great. Kingdom Hearts is fucking light.
Oh boy.
I can't wait to play the second one.
I will also say Mass Effect, if I went back and played it now, probably wouldn't have aged that well.
Possibly, yeah. The first one, enjoy the Mako.
Just in general, I think.
I heard from some friends recently that 2 they found aged really well, actually. But
yeah, it's structured pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call it quits here. Any last thoughts on Sonic Mania Forces? Sonic Wars.
Sonic Wars.
Yeah.
Sonic the Power Battle Wars.
Sonic the Courses. Sonic Defense Forces.
Solid
Sonic
4 out of 11. Yeah.
I give it a 4 out of 5, and I really just expect them to please take the 3 years of engine work and instead invest in 3 years of using that engine this time. Oh my god.
Basically.
Please.
Yeah. Despite all my complaints, like a huge amount of complaints, and my scathing 2 out of 5 score that I stand by,
You're still just around a cage.
I'm still just around a cage. Yeah. No. The level, like the core gameplay, is still really fun. The music was still really good. The graphics were still really nice. Like there was a lot that they succeeded at. The Avatar was a success. I think there's too much in there that would spoil a first playthrough for anyone. And so I again can really only recommend it to big established fans of like Colors and Generations. But I do hope they can just make another game and fork off of this and do it gooder this time, because I think they can do it. So
yeah.
Here's hoping.
What turned me around from making this a 1 out of 5 to a 2 out of 5 is when I started playing stages. I was actually having fun, and I was like, fun in a 3D Sonic game. Whoa! And that's where I'm at.
I found it staggering how much more I enjoyed the game after I finished the game. Yeah, I was surprised.
I mean, for me that was kind of expected, but it did grow on me over time. Even though I kind of expected that to happen. I mean,
yeah,
Generations I think is better, but Forces, don't slack on it. It's still a great Sonic experience, honestly.
Yeah, fuck you, Matt.
I don't think it's as bad as everyone's saying it is as far as the core gameplay is concerned. Definitely not. A lot of people saying it's worse than the new Bubsy and shit, and it's like, wow, actually, that's the wrongest thing, and you clearly did not play either of them. But
that is someone trying to get a reaction.
Yeah, real talk. If you've got like a local store, go rent Sonic Forces. Yeah, you'll finish it fast. You'll finish it for sure during your rental, and there's a chance you'll have a good time. There's cool stuff in there. So,
all right. So I don't know what we're going to do next episode. We have a whole bunch of things planned, but we'll do something then. Till then, we reached that end. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Is that how this works? We're
at the end now? I say we reached the ending. Yeah. So.
Oh shit.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. 낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자 밤이 오면 심장이 뜨거워지는 여자 그런 반전 있는 여자 너는 선호해 낮에는 너만큼 따사로운 그 선호해 커피 식기도 전에 원샷 때린 선호해 밤이 오면 심장이 터져버린 선호해 그런 선호해 아름다워 사랑스러워 그래 너 그래 바로 너 아름다워 사랑스러워 그래 너 그래 바로 너 지금부터 갈 때까지 가볼까 오빤 강남스타일 강남스타일 오빤 강남스타일 강남스타일 오빤 강남스타일 에이 섹시 레이디 오빤 강남스타일 에이 섹시 레이디 정숙해 보이지만 놀 땐 노는 여자 이때다 싶으면 묶었던 머리 푸는 여자 가렸지만 웬만한 노출보다 야한 여자 그런 감각적인 여자 나는 선호해 점잖아 보이지만 놀 땐 노는 선호해 때가 되면 완전 미쳐버리는 선호해 근육보다 사상이 울퉁불퉁한 선호해 그런 선호해 아름다워 사랑스러워 그래 너 그래 바로 너 아름다워 사랑스러워 그래 너 그래 바로 너 지금부터 갈 때까지 가볼까 오빤 강남스타일 강남스타일 오빤 강남스타일 강남스타일 오빤 강남스타일 에이 섹시 레이디 오빤 강남스타일 에이 섹시 레이디 뛰는 놈그 위에 나는 놈 Baby baby 나는 뭘 좀 아는 놈 뛰는 놈그 위에 나는 놈 Baby baby 나는 뭘 좀 아는 You know what I'm saying 오빤 강남스타일